betting reaction to all of the night's action. You're tuned in to VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Patrick Meagher, Dustin Swedelson, VSiN Live.
Okay, VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio, new week. Hope you had a nice weekend. I'm Patrick Meagher, live from Los Angeles. The big guy, Dustin Swedelson, perched on his throne at the beautiful SiriusXM studios. The Win, Las Vegas. The crew is back. Nia Hardman, New York City. Ryan Smith, Las Vegas on YouTube.com/VSiN Live. Jeremiah Crow recovering from Goulet's bachelor party in Dallas, hanging out with Mark Cuban. So it's a good crew. Why don't we do this? We're going to set up the program, but quickly, let's get to a game in a series that's just about to get underway, Dustin. We can get the pricing on Knicks Celtics. I've got the Boston Celtics laying 8.5 tonight. The series price is...
I'm pulling that up right now. Minus 800 last I looked when it came to the Boston Celtics, plus 550 on the New York Knicks if you want to bet. It's now 750 on the Celtics, 5-1 on the Knicks.
Yeah, expectations, obviously, the Celtics will roll. Another one, my assumption would be a roll. The Nuggets, a nice win against a terrible Clippers team, let's be honest. Everybody that was I'm talking to you, sharp bettors, all the sharp bettors jockeying the Clippers. Okay. The Nuggets at the Thunder, let's get the pricing here. I'm guessing it's doubles tonight. It's 10.5 with the Thunder laying it, and the series price.
The series has Oklahoma City minus $7, 5-1 on the other way, and the Denver Nuggets. By the way, that number's been on the move. Open 9.5, and I'm seeing a bunch of books already up to 10.5 with OKC laying that number at home.
All right, so some exciting second-round matchups. The NBA is fantastic. Let's get to – why don't you click over to the hockey, because we do have a series starting tonight. The Panthers are at the Maple Leafs, and series price there with Florida and Toronto.
Yeah, minus 170 on your Panthers, and Canada's team, the Maple Leafs, plus 145.
No, I was speaking with my buddy Vince last night. I have some thoughts on Toronto. Canada hates Toronto. They just do. They can't stand Toronto. So that is that. So as far as the pressing news, we get that out of the way. We also welcome you in, 888-MAD-DOG-6, 888-623-3646, again, about the tip-off in Boston to open up that series with two proud historic franchises, the Knicks and Boston Celtics. On tap tonight, there's a lot to do. It was a crazy Sunday in sports. Obviously, the day before, you had an epic Kentucky Derby in the slop there at Churchill Downs. Now, we may have a hell of a surprise for you. The winning trainer of Sovereignty, Bill Mott, is scheduled to join coming up in 25 minutes. Now, Bill Mott has been very kind to the show in the past. Country House, who won by disqualification a few years back, Bill Mott came on and discussed that one. He had been on our Breeders' Cup shows, our Kentucky Derby shows with the pre-tapes. He is the gentleman of horse racing. And that was a great horse race. If we do get Bill Mott, looking forward to it. The life of a trainer is so intense and time-intensive that he said, of course, I want to talk to you guys. Give me a call. See if I can do it at 4:30, 7:30 East. So looking forward to talking to Bill Mott there. Drew Dinsick is going to join, NBC Sports betting analyst. I believe he was at Churchill Downs on Saturday for the Kentucky Derby. He was also on Sovereignty. And then Jonathan Davis, our buddy over at VSiN NHL analyst, is going to join us. We'll talk about the hockey as well. As we open up the program, a lot to do. Before we get to the Kentucky Derby, let's just quickly recap what went down last night. First off, we should start with the hockey because that was the game of the night. And if you are a Blues fan, and I'm talking to you, Mike Somich, and I'm talking to you, Aaron Halterman, and I'm talking to you, Brett Hull, if you are a St. Louis Blues fan, just turn your sweater in. It's over. Turn out the lights. You got a Stanley Cup a few years back. This last night was about as bad. If you're at a sports bar on Sunday watching the Blues take on the number 1 seed Winnipeg Jets, and you're up 2 goals with less than 2 minutes to go, you're up a goal with 1.7 seconds to go, ties up, overtime, Winnipeg winner, quit being a fan of the Blues. Quit being a fan of life. Quit being a fan of Jesus. No offense. Just quit being a fan of anything. Because that was about as catastrophic a loss you're ever going to see. History of sports across 4 majors. There's no other way to put it. Now, the game itself was incredible. In fact, I thought the Blues carried the play. I thought the Blues were the better team most of the game, and then puck luck goes Winnipeg's way. I don't know if you had a chance to watch it. Double overtime. It was an incredible game.
It was so. I was just getting my TV set up in the afternoon. You know, I'm not locked into hockey like you guys are. I said, you know what? There's a hockey game on. Let me just flip it on. It's the third period. It's a 2-goal game. I go, all right, we'll leave it on one of the 4 TVs in the living room. I look up. All right, still 2 goals, still 2 goals. Final couple minutes. First goal goes in. And I'm like, okay, this is interesting, but there's not enough time. It's over. The Blues are going to advance. I felt good for the show. The show adopted the Blues. That became our team. So I said, you know what? It was a cute little story, nice little score there, but no one's ever scored 2 empty netters in the final 2 minutes of a game. And then whatever that happened on that final shot in the final seconds, that's got to be an all-time finish for a game. And then to finish the job in overtime, because you could have left off the gas, right? You could have lost that energy, but no, the Jets finished the job. That was absolutely insane yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, there was no way the Blues are going to win after giving up 2 goals in less than 2 minutes when they're going to be moving on against the 1 seed on the road. That's a wrap. Little flex by you. Leave one of the TVs on in the family room. The family room is your kitchen. You have one room. So, like, the concept that you're all of a sudden, spending time in a different wing of your apartment, it's one room. So, congrats that you leaned over and turned one of the donkey-ass TVs on the hockey game. I give you props.
Well, thank you. I mean, I remember my niece is in town, so one of the big TV was on Miss Rachel, unfortunately. I had to get subjugated to the side TV with one of the greatest finishes you'll ever see in a hockey game. But how about Hellebuck? The story for him was the goalie for Winnipeg. Awful all postseason long, gets totally bailed out. They're going to advance again. Is there any chance he actually finds himself now and can go on a little bit of a playoff heater? Feels like Winnipeg might be Destiny's team, Patrick.
They were dicey goals early. Hellebuck is an issue. Now, Hellebuck is a proud Great Lakes State dude. He's from Michigan. I'm a big fan. He's going to win the Vezina. So he is the best goaltender regular season-wise. He has been a disaster in the postseason thus far. He's been yanked a bunch, a couple of soft goals yesterday. But you could tell that his confidence, Hellebuck, in net for the Jets, you could tell his confidence started to grow as the game kind of moved along, settled in with a couple of big saves. And that's generally what it takes for a goalie. Just ask me. Between the pipes, it generally just takes a couple of big saves, and then they get in a rhythm, and he found a rhythm. The Blues were the better team. Look, Winnipeg was your best team in the regular season, the NHL. The Blues were better yesterday. They didn't deserve what happened at the end.
Okay, but this series price is kind of baffling to me. Help me understand this, because I'm not locked into hockey like you, Samich, and Halterman are. So the Jets win that game. They're plus $1.35. They're the dog against the Stars, minus 160. Most people didn't see Dallas getting past Colorado with all the injuries they've had. I know they made a lot of big deals at the deadline, but they're just banged up at the wrong time of year. I don't understand such a dog price on Winnipeg where they found a way, and hockey's a sport where we've seen these teams just find a rhythm and find a chemistry and go on runs. I don't understand why everyone's now believing in Dallas that they're minus 160.
Because Dallas was awesome against the Avs. Dallas is going to take a big-ass Zamboni and run it over the town of Winnipeg.
Oh, really?
They are going to boat race Hellebuck and the Jets. So there's your answer, dum-dum.
Okay.
There's your answer.
I'll take it. That's why I'm not betting it. Betting it.
Was hanging out with my boy Vince, who is from Montreal. And I said, Toronto, what's the deal? And he just said, that city sucks. Canadians are a nice lot. They can't stand Toronto. Toronto just peacocks all over the place, pretends they're better than everybody. So I said, give me a little something on Winnipeg. He said, think Buffalo. And I was like, all right, a flyover state. Think of not necessarily flyover, but think of Green Bay. But Winnipeg actually does have 800,000 people that are from there. But it is, it's just a flyover county, whatever they call them, subdivisions in Canada. Get it straight up there, people. I'm going to tariff you more. If you don't figure out what you are, a province, a state, I'll come up there with a big-ass tariff. You want whiskey?
Hold on.
Hold on, Canada. You want whiskey? First off, you got to win a Stanley Cup. You haven't won a Stanley Cup since like 93.
Yep.
And you created the sport. So, boom, I'm hitting you with another tariff for being an asshole.
No, it's not
and
a
a
good
loser.
Look. It's not a good look to create something, and it's more that they care more about it. It's really obnoxious that we don't even – there are cities in America like Tampa Bay and down there in Sunrise, Florida, it's Miami, I guess, that don't even know they have professional hockey. But they have gone to Stanley Cup parades where those hockey fans in Toronto live and die by this. But I would also point out to your boy Vince, I feel like the rest of Canada also hates Montreal because like they speak French, they're sort of part of the country, but also don't want to be part of the country.
No, Canadians think Montreal's lit.
Really?
Hot girl, hot women. Quebec City as well, he said. Beautiful women. Loose. Well, I won't go there.
Okay.
Montreal, Europe. Quebec City, Europe. They don't like Ottawa. Government. They hate it. The Vancouver pretending to be Seattle. They're not necessarily into that. They like Edmonton. It's a nice little you pat it on the head type of province. And Winnipeg, they don't care. That's my take on Canada.
Well, I mean, Winnipeg's best second time around. Shout out to Step by Step. Great show on TGI Fridays back in the day. Second time around for the Jets in Winnipeg. There's a reason why.
Yeah, I can't tell. All I know is if you don't win a Stanley Cup this year with the Maple Leafs in the mix, Winnipeg in the mix, tariffs are coming. And I'm not afraid to wave a big stick, all right? So, Canada, watch your back up there. I love Canadians. Even the Toronto Raptors fans that came at me years ago on Mad Dog Sports Radio and threatened to kill me. I don't care. First off, they couldn't. They're Canadian. What are they going to do? But they did threaten to murder me. I wasn't concerned. And now I'm going to tariff them again. I like saying tariff.
Because no one knows what it means.
Everybody knows what it means. Hey, speaking of a tariff, can we hit the Houston Rockets offense with a tariff?
Dude.
All right, do us a favor, Houston. First off, don't show me Jalen Green. Don't give me that pathetic offense. Udoka, everybody's talking about him being a great coach. They scored 89 points yesterday at home in an elimination game against the Warriors. The Warriors aren't any good, and they just got killed last night. So the Rockets are out. The Warriors advance. They'll take on the T-Wolves. That is going to be a boat race. The T-Wolves, that series starts up tomorrow. The Golden State Warriors were tired as hell after that game last night. Draymond Green, he's a mouth breather anyway. He couldn't shut his mouth for a multitude of reasons. Jimmy Butler's got a bad butt. Steph's old. He has to work for every freaking shot. And so Timberwolves, who are a young team, defend their asses off on the perimeter as well. The Timberwolves are going to kill them. You got a series price there?
Yeah, look, the Timberwolves are a scary team because it feels like a team that could run with Oklahoma City when they're at their best. Right now, that series price, someone's got to take them down. I got to be right. I've been standing on this for like 6 months now. I just need someone to take care of the Thunder, and I don't think it's going to be the Nuggets because they are gasping their breath still, catching their breath from the last series. Oof. Minnesota minus 175, Warriors plus 150 in that one. But real quick on the Houston Rockets. I think that they should start focusing on transitioning that whole town into start speaking Greek. Everyone, Greek signs on the roads. Everyone start doing their broadcasting Greek. Everyone just start speaking the language, open Greek restaurants, buy some euros, because that is the place that Giannis needs to go to save that franchise and take them to the next level, because without him, they don't have a chance. They need someone who can get buckets, and I can tell you this, it's not Jalen Green.
Yeah, they do. You're right. They do need – Giannis would be a great fit. Here's the problem, and I hope Houston doesn't fall into the trap. They may fall into the Oklahoma City trap. And Sam Presti, who runs the Thunder, they had accrued assets for so many years, and now it's starting to flourish, and they're starting to reap the rewards. However, they had SGA. Houston, who wants to hoard their assets, and they've got a bunch of assets, a bunch of individual players on that team, but they don't have an SGA. That's the difference. The reason Presti and the Thunder never blew it up and went for a Kevin Durant or one of these big donks is because they didn't have to. They've got the best player, the second best player right now in basketball in SGA, and he's going to win an MVP. Houston doesn't have that. Jalen Green is just a guy.
No, you build it around the package around him. You send Milwaukee whatever they want. One thing you don't do, though, if the option is pay full price for Giannis or get a discount on Kevin Durant, The answer is pay the full price for the better younger player in Giannis.
Yeah, they absolutely should. And then last night, another one, the Cavs they tied it up late, and then the Pacers showed some mettle. They finished with a flourish and beat the Cavs. No Darius Garland for the Cavs, 121-112. And the Pacers planted their flag and said, "We're here, bitches."
Oh, no. They were tremendous. They were hitting every shot, every look in the first half. And now there's concern. There's injury concerns outside of Garland when it comes to Cleveland. There's a chance Mobley is out. There's issues with Hunter. And let's be real. When you talk about Cleveland and what they can do on both ends of the floor, those are a couple of guys who really contribute on both ends. Mobley and Hunter, the way he's come off the bench. Obviously, they missed the three-point shooting in Garland last night. Those are three potential big misses for game two with an Indiana team that is clearly not scared. They're not intimidated. And Halliburton, very quietly, I know people don't care about the Pacers. No one likes to pay attention to Indiana, and they're not really known for playing a lot of defense. Halliburton has been playing incredible basketball for a couple of months now. And every time you watch Pascal Siakam, all you think about is, why isn't the ball in his hands every single possession? He feels like such a mismatch for everyone in the league.
Yeah, no, but tremendous performance by the Pacers yesterday. All right, so we've got you set up with the hockey and the basketball. Early, 14-11, the Celtics lead the Knicks. Like I said, very early. We'll get you involved in-game with that as we update the numbers along the way. That series just starting tonight. Again, two legendary franchises. Let's hope the Knicks can give us something. If they were to steal the game tonight, that would be tremendous.
Okay, how many games? How many games do the Knicks win in this series? Because I've heard people say Celtics in 6. I think it's either Celtics in a sweep or the Celtics in 5. I do not see a way where the Knicks win 2 games, even the way Boston has been playing with their food. If you were to pin down a number, how many games does this go?
I mean, maybe 5 should be a sweep. Yeah.
Not in the same class.
That's it. You don't really – maybe, like you said, maybe 5. But the Knicks, they're completely outclassed and outcoached and out everything in this series. So, anyway, let's go quickly back. We may have Bill Mott joining us. Bill Mott said he's going to try. So he's the gentleman. He is going to make it, and that's coming up in about 11 minutes. Bill Mott, the trainer of the winner of the 151st running of the Kentucky Derby. We had a tremendous broadcast. I jumped on with the boys, Mike Somich and Aaron Halterman. They did a simulcast for both VSiN and Mad Dog Sports Radio. They did a tremendous job. And Mike Somich made a lot of people a lot of money. He hit the super for over $1,600, including, I believe it was the big guy that reaped the rewards of Samo Bomb.
Oh, I did, but you're going to give a lot of other people credit here because it's what you do. So I'm going to make you uncomfortable and remind everyone that last week on the show, you were the one that was touting the winning horse. I believe about, 7-1, 8-1, somewhere in that range. You predicted Sovereignty was going to win, so I want to give you a little bit of credit here.
Thank you.
I mean, no one ever does. People just take shots. Really, people just take shots at you. They passive aggressively talk smack about you. But I don't. I have your back. And because of that, I want everyone to know that you were ahead of the curve and you picked Sovereignty before everyone else.
Yeah, Sovereignty was 10-1. I think he, like you said, he drifted down somewhere between 7 and 8-1 as the race went off. That's called the price play. That horse, I had no clue. I was watching the race replays, including the Florida Derby. I had no clue why that horse had such long odds. And let's be honest, I'm sure you watched it. I don't love the slop. I'm not, again, traditionalist. They like to do this. Like Aaron Halterman is a Kansas City Chiefs fan, and Somich is a Dolphins fan. And I got on with them, and they can be elitist when it comes to the sport. I said, I hate the slop. I hate the rain. I want everything to be equal. And they're like, oh, yeah, being elitist. And I said, oh, did you guys enjoy when your Chiefs hosted your Dolphins in below 100 degrees? That was a fun wild card matchup, wasn't it? No, it wasn't. It was one of the worst football games you're ever going to see, and that's because of the elements. Get rid of the elements. I want everything played on equal footing, and I want good sport.
Yeah, what's the goal here? The goal is to find out who's the best. And we don't always find out who's the best when there's other variables coming into play, like the weather, like the mud, and watching them have to stomp the way they do. Now, the one thing when it comes to the horse race, though, all the horses had to deal with it. They all had to compete in it. They all had to find a way. And that is a situation with horse racing where those horses do find out who can step up when things aren't perfect. So that does make the run impressive for Sovereignty and Bill Mott. But I agree with you. If we're testing out and we want, like, historically to place these teams and figure out who's the best each year, we want all things to be perfect.
Yeah, Sovereignty, though, handled the slop. And I'll say this. I thought it was an epic race in the mud. Journalism, who was the favorite, many believed Journalism, California horse right over here, Santa Anita. Many believed Journalism potentially could win a Triple Crown, that good of a horse. And he didn't embarrass himself. He had every reason to win it. Journalism and Sovereignty were nose to nose down to the last mile, 16th. So that was a great stretch. And what I took from it is Journalism's a great horse, but we may have a Triple Crown contender. Now, when we speak to Bill Mott, we're going to ask him, is he actually in the connections of Sovereignty? Are they going to point to the Preakness here in a couple of weeks? Because now horse racing has become so much different. Horse racing is about the stud fees. Horse racing is about making sure that the owners get paid. And that quick turnaround, as far as the Preakness onto the Belmont, oftentimes connections will say, don't mess with the fees, which means what they can make when they go to stud, by having them go and lose in the Preakness. My assumption is Sovereignty will run in the Preakness, though.
We're a betting show, right? It's like doubling down, right? You can quit while you're ahead, while you have the Kentucky Derby win under your belt, and those fees are going to be astronomical because everyone wants a piece of a horse's DNA that can win a Kentucky Derby. However, you know what pays more than a horse that wins a Kentucky Derby? A horse that wins a Triple Crown. So hell yeah, Bill Mott's got to run that horse again in a couple weeks. We need another Triple Crown winner.
Yeah, let's talk about sex. The actual field of 18 horses, did you see they were all descendants of Secretariat?
How does that happen?
My man, that is the GOAT. Secretariat holds the record for the Kentucky Derby, for the Preakness, for the Belmont Stakes. One of the great athletes, if you want to call him that, of all time, by far the greatest horse of all time. Secretariat, in some way, after just leveling fillies in the shed. So in some way, his lineage, and my mom texted me this from our hospital bed. She said, "Did you know, Patrick, that his lineage was in every single horse in that race?" My man did not stop by a CVS for contraception.
Hey, what a life. You win a bunch of races, you spend the rest of your life getting busy with other horses. That's how you do it. Secretary was living right. Some would say Secretariat, the Antonio Cromartie of the horse racing world.
Some would. You would. I wouldn't, nor would anybody else. So, but I do think the race paid off. You wanted to see, and then Baeza, who from the freaking clouds. Now, Baeza got caught up in traffic. Remember, when Rodriguez scratched, Baeza then moves up to the 21 hole. Baeza got caught up in a bunch of See, that's the issue with 19, 18 horses, and 20 horses is the field, and then it got whittled down. But when you have 20 horses just breaking out of that gate and just smashing into one another as they try to gain positioning, Baeza got caught up in the traffic, but my man had a turn of foot because he was coming late. Freight train.
You thought Baeza was live too when that got announced. I remember that.
Yep.
And look, I got a little nervous with the ticket. Obviously, things paid off with the Super, with Samich giving it out. But I got nervous at the beginning just because everyone was so jumbled up, and I didn't know if there was going to be the speed and opening for the horses we needed to make their move to the outside, just because it felt like a bottleneck right at the beginning, like you said, and I just was curious who was going to get that moment to jump outside, and things luckily worked out in our favor.
Bottleneck, big guy. Great race. I don't understand how people can't, that is the one sport that when it was done, I'm still left kind of shaken. It's so exciting.
The build up in the moment, and then the commercial breaks coming where you're like, okay, come on, this is the one. We're running it now. Then they start getting into their posts, and you're like, okay, it's happening. It's happening. And then it just goes, the adrenaline rush, and then waiting to find out the exact finish. It is as exhilarating as you're going to experience in sports.
The big guy is in a good mood today. Even gave me props, which is odd. I don't even understand what's happening over there. Do I owe him money? Is something going on? But he's on fire today.
No, I got money in
obviously.
the pocket thanks to Samich. That's what's going on.
$1,600. That doesn't hurt. 1,600 superfecta. And I'm going to say this to a lot of golf handicappers. That is true handicapping. Not picking 20 guys in a tournament and saying I hit the outright. No. That is handicapping.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we should explain it. We had 2 horses to finish first or second. We had 3 to finish in second, 3 to finish in third, and then 4 to finish in fourth. And we had to have those horses in those order do their thing, and it just went perfectly. It went exactly like Mike envisioned, because I'm going to take 0 credit for it. All I did was log into VSiN Live on Twitter and go, where did Mike post that pick? There it is. I'm betting him. I'm betting Aaron, and I got a winner.
You want to win $1,600? Go over to VSiN.com/subscribe. Use the promo code SIRIUS, and we're handing out winners. Big, fat winners. Mike Samich. That is tremendous. I really do give him props. It was a little weird jumping on the broadcast because I think people may forget we kind of started the whole entire thing on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Me begging Steve Torrey, me begging Steve Cohen, can you send me and the big guy to the Breeders' Cup? I'm into horse racing. The Breeders' Cup broadcast went well. The racing dudes came on the broadcast. This is 10-plus years ago. Then they started letting us do the Triple Crown as well. So it was a little weird to hop on with the boys because I don't know how to be interviewed. I don't know how to be interviewed.
No, you pull the Nick Sirianni. Less thinking, football takeover.
Whatever my dog. I don't even know if I have talent, but I just start talking. I'm just a.
Your move is I'm going to take over the convo. Everyone chill out. I'll put us in the right direction, but do not ask me questions.
You know why? Whether it's an egotistical brain, my brain just says you have better things to say.
I think it's the opposite of egotistical. Let's see if Bill Mott'll join.
Let's do this. Let's break, and then when we come back, the winner of the Kentucky Derby, the 151st, was Sovereignty. His trainer is a Hall of Famer. That's Bill Mott. Will he or won't he? When we come back, we'll have the answer. It's VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio with Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson. This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio with Patrick Maher and Dustin Swedelson.
All right, it is VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio. We mentioned our very own Mike Somich over at VSiN.com/picks hit the superfecta for $1,600+ in the Kentucky Derby. You can find all the picks, not just horse racing, every single sport covered better than anybody in the industry. Go to VSiN.com/subscribe through August 1st. $19 gets you literally everything we offer. Go to VSiN.com/subscribe and use the promo code SIRIUS. As we do welcome you back quickly, an update. Boston's up 23-21. $103 to play in the first as that series, round 2, with the Knicks and Celtics gets underway. So we'll keep you updated there. We do have, of course, a game tonight in hockey and a game tonight as well in basketball. That basketball game is going to be in Oklahoma City with the Nuggets at the Thunder. Oklahoma City laying 10.5. And then we have a series starting on the ice with the Panthers at Toronto to take on the Maple Leafs. We are efforting for Bill Mott. Now, it's important. Bill Mott is the Hall of Fame trainer of the Kentucky Derby winner, Sovereignty. It's important to note, because we've been in contact with him, Dustin's been in contact with him all day. It's important to note the life of a trainer is not one you'd want if you're, and it does look like we have the legendary trainer on hold. So we are going to throw him up. And I'll just say this. Back in 2019, the Hall of Famer Bill Mott gave us time when 65-1 Country House won when Maximum Security was disqualified. But this time around, Bill Mott picks up a thrilling Kentucky Derby win. He is known as the gentleman of horse racing. He's given us plenty of time in the past. He talked to us after Country House, and we just get a couple of minutes with Hall of Fame trainer, of course, Sovereignty, 151st Kentucky Derby, Mr. Bill Mott. Bill, welcome. Thank you for a couple of minutes.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me on.
It's a pleasure. We spoke to you after Country House. Now we speak to you after Sovereignty. I don't know if you know this, Bill. Maybe you'll get a chuckle out of this. The insiders were saying that you were in a good mood all week because Sovereignty was training well leading up to the Kentucky Derby. I think you're always in a good mood, but did you have a good feeling about the horse leading to the race?
Well, I had a good feeling because nothing had gone wrong. Everything we did, fell into place. And, so often, you're coming up to these big races and, all of a sudden you've got some concern about some physical issue or something didn't go right. The work didn't go right. The gallop didn't go right. The horse's foot was bruised or, you know what I mean? There's such a multitude of things that can go wrong. And everything went perfectly from the time we, came from Florida and got into Kentucky. He had 2 good works over the track. And, he maintained his appetite and his condition and his soundness. And he almost looked better every day.
And a great ride by Junior Alvarado, which I'll get to. The great Bill Mott joining us after Sovereignty's win in the 151st Kentucky Derby. So it was as great as advertised, Bill. Talk to us about the stretch run. Journalism, who is a great horse, nose to nose with Sovereignty. Walk us through your emotions down the stretch there.
Well, it looked like, once we got to the stretch, we were clear. And I said, well, now it's up. Now we're either the best or we're not the best. And, they locked horns from the quarter pole to the 8th pole, and it looked like at that point we started to edge away from him. And I think we, may have beat him by a length. I don't know what the official distance was, but he was getting away from him, the entire last 1/8 of a mile of the run. I was watching him, and I wasn't jumping up and down or rooting. I just was very silent until they hit the wire, and once they hit the wire, I exploded.
Oh, you're lying, Bill. You showed no emotion. I saw the interview on NBC after it. You were as cool as a cucumber. You showed no emotion. You were just like, yeah, we're on to the next race.
Yeah, well, try to stay grounded. You have to do that. These races are so tough and it's so difficult that I think what you do when you get to that level of the game, you prepare yourself for anything, and you really don't know what's going to happen. I mean, nobody really knows. I mean, we all try to guess, or the people that are betting on them, they're trying to figure it out. But until it's a done deal, nobody really knows, because we know there's a jillion ways to get beat in this game.
The great Hall of Famer Bill Mott, Sovereignty 151st Kentucky Derby winner. Just a couple more questions. I know your time is tight. Talk to us about the ride from Junior Alvarado. It's such a unique race, Bill, because there's so many horses. It's 1.25 miles. How did the ride turn out and the trip for Sovereignty turn out?
Actually, it was flawless. I mean, an unbelievably masterful ride, and I give him a lot of credit. Junior had a lot of confidence in the horse. He's had a lot of confidence in him all along, and he got a picture-perfect trip around the first turn. We, came from the 18 post position, and of course we were concerned about how much ground we could save or lose around the first turn, because you can't, I've always said you cannot be 4 or 5 wide around both turns and win these races, because the amount of extra ground you've got to go over is just too much. The races are too competitive, and no one is that much better than the rest of the field. So, you've got to get the trip. We did get the trip around the first turn. By the time he got past the wire the first time, he'd already worked his way over to the rail. Just unbelievable from the 18 hole. And, once he got around the first turn, he was able to, tip him out and keep him in the clear. He was, he put himself into position to where he could go anytime he wanted. And he got down to the turn, and Journalism was right in front of him, and he just tucked in behind him and followed him around the turn. And then when he was coming out of the turn, it just textbook. He tipped him out and joined him. He engaged Journalism, and the race was on. And we on the day we came out the better.
It was a thrilling race. Can you give us an idea, a national audience, Bill, an idea of Sovereignty's personality? These horses all have very different personalities. What's Sovereignty like?
Well, he's good to be around. He's good around the stall. I mean, he's a big, strong colt that, he takes, good handling. But, he's not he's strong, and he's strong in his gallops, and you need to have a good rider on him, because he's always ready to go when you have him out on that racetrack. But he doesn't do anything, crazy. He's just doing what he's supposed to do. And we have to contain his speed in the mornings, and, just try to keep him out of trouble. Make sure we don't do anything silly.
Well, you didn't, and you just won the Kentucky Derby. Last question. Don't get mad at me. I have to ask, Bill. It's a quick turnaround for the Preakness. You said you'd talk to the connections. Have we spoken to the connections and have an idea yet?
We've spoken to them the day after the race, and that's when we said we'd find out. We'll have a conversation tomorrow, and hopefully we'll be able to make an announcement by Tuesday or Wednesday. So.
Okay. Well, listen, you are a great representation of the sport. I've never heard anybody say a cross word about Bill Mott, and I appreciate a few minutes. Congratulations on the great win.
Okay, thank you. It's pretty special. We've had some big wins in our day and in the career, and this is pretty special. You
deserve it, Bill. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, thank you very much. I mean, the big guy knows, a couple things. The big guy knows I'm on cloud nine. It's just, I don't really know how to explain it. I got wrapped up in the sport of horse racing not too long ago, And, 15 years ago. And when I had been to the track, Santa Anita a lot, Del Mar down in San Diego, north of San Diego. And then when I had an opportunity a few years back, Rich Strike won the Kentucky Derby. And so obviously with my job, I was able to kind of roam around with a pass and just walk up to the horses, walk past the trainers, interview the trainers. And for me, it's like seeing royalty. And I remember I was walking, and this is the Rich Strike year, so a few years back, I was walking around, and there's, Todd Pletcher, and there's Irad Ortiz, one of the jockeys, and there's Steve Asmussen, and then I saw Bill Mott. And I have always been a fan. He's a Hall of Famer. Like he just mentioned there, he's won a lot of big races in his career. I mean, more than you can count. And for me, there was just an aura about the guy. And maybe I'm just projecting that because of how much I'm obsessed with the sport and the people around the sport. But that right there, that's a legend. That's Bill Mott.
Okay. Well, we've known each other about 9 years now. I think I can kind of pinpoint, and I don't know if you even realize it, of what your deal is with Bill Mott, why you're so happy for him, why you like talking to him. Because at your core, you like to see the good guy win. You like to see the person who treats people a certain way end up on top, where so many times it's shady people in these sports. You have to root for athletes that maybe you don't agree with what they do off the court, off the field, whatever it may be. But when you're dealing with someone like Bill Mott, who's been in the game for a very long time, he has over 4,000 wins as a horse trainer. He's done and seen a lot. Yet, as you mentioned at the top of the interview, no one says a bad thing about him. When he won that Derby with the controversy, with the way things went down, people were just genuinely happy for Bill Mott to finally have his moment. Now he's had his second moment, and they can't take this one away. There's no questioning how it went down. There was no disqualification. He won it outright against the other field of horses, and now no one can ever disparage anything he's accomplished.
Well, he's 71 years old, Dustin. He's been doing it for 50-plus years. He has entered 1 million horses in the Kentucky Derby. In 2019, his horse Country House won following the disqualification of Maximum Security. Now, I didn't ask him about it. He's going to be asked about it ad nauseum, but I'll give you his quote. He said, this is better, in his dry delivery. He said, this one got here the right way. I mean, he's done well. He's a great horse. He comes from a great organization. So, obviously, that's just his very humble way of saying, nobody can take this one away from me. They can't take 2019 away from him, but that horse won because of disqualification. So this is he just beat the morning line and the favorite in the race, nose to nose down the stretch of the Kentucky Derby. Journalism, sovereignty, deserved winner, deserved trainer.
Oh, yeah. When you think about this field, if we remember we had a lot of conversations leading into it and then the week of the Derby. Everyone said, if you're betting on this race, you have to build things around journalism. The horse is so far and away the favorite. So when the horse is thought of that way and that respected, and you go out and beat them the way he did, he won by 1.5 lengths, closed when it mattered against the fastest horse on the track. That's everything you want from a champion right there. I just want one more. We don't have to have a Triple Crown, but I do like the buzz of when a horse can win those 2 races, win the Preakness, and just build up that Belmont, because then we have a real horse racing season here.
Yeah, I just love the fact that when we're talking to Bill Mott, he was literally either driving to the barn or away from the barn, or at one point I could hear the barn. And it's 7:47 where he is.
But because we got him on the line, you didn't get to lay out the life of a horse trainer. I don't think people realize these guys wake up, 3:30 in the morning?
It's completely pitch dark when they're up, and it's dark when they get home.
It's an all-day thing. He's got hundreds of horses he's caring for at all different levels of where they are in the horse racing world. And it's a pretty crazy life what they live. I mean, when you think about how many horses when you go to a racetrack on any given day, he could have how many horses competing on one given day on a random track.
Yeah, you nailed it. Bill Mott managing his barn is a bigger, like, he has so many variables. So obviously, I could have talked to him for hours.
Yeah.
We were trying to be respectful of his time. He was respectful enough to give us a few minutes, and that's a tremendous job by the big guy getting him locked down, a tremendous job by Naya calling a couple of times, and a wonderful conversation with Bill Mott. That was great. I appreciate everybody that made that happen.
Great guy. And if you didn't know, now you know a good guy just won. I think that's the most important thing to take away from the story. And I'm not calling anyone bad. I'm just saying one of these guys, it's a good guy who's been very good to us. I went back and looked. That is his 4th time appearing on our show. 4th time. And he couldn't be classier than he is dealing with us. He's awesome.
I'll give you an example. There was a guy that was down in Gulfstream, and I can't remember his name. It doesn't matter. I don't want to give him any shine. He's in jail right now. He's in jail because he would juice his horses. And he was the leading trainer at Gulfstream, which is a big track down in Hallandale, California. Or I believe it is. Yeah, Hallandale. He would, and then there was a video that came out, a clandestine video. He was hanging out with some other loser, and the loser that he was hanging out with grabbed the trainer and said, "The juice man wins again. The juice man wins again." So they were openly celebrating the fact that this trainer down in South Florida, who won 1 million races, was knowingly injecting horses with juices. These horses don't have a choice. So I'm giving you a kind of a juxtaposition. You got one guy that made a fortune. Now he's in jail. And you got another one like Bill Mott, who's just a gentleman and does everything the right way. And he finally gets to claim a real Kentucky Derby. So I like that. You're right. I like seeing the good guys win. All right. Wonderful stuff. And thank you again to Bill Mott for a few minutes. 888-MAD-DOG-6, 888-623-3646. We'll transition from the horse racing back to the basketball and get to your calls. It's VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio with Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson. Welcome back to VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Here's Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson.
Tight one so far in Boston, 40-38. The big guys Knicks trail by 2, opening up that series in the East. Do you care about the Knicks anymore?
I do, but I'm not letting everyone trick me into this one. There are some people out there. There's very few. Most people believe Celtics take care of business, but there are a few people out there trying to convince themselves, well, if Bridges and Anunoby can just limit Tatum, sure, the Knicks have a chance. Tatum's got 13. He averaged close to like 28 per game against the Knicks in the regular season. I bet him today plus 140 to lead the game in scoring. They just don't have a solution for him. And the problem is, even if he doesn't go off, Boston has so many more reliable scoring options, and the Knicks don't play defense anyway. There is no aspect of this game where I trust the Knicks to get it done when it matters, no matter how well Jalen Brunson plays in the final 2 minutes.
At least you got a positive attitude.
What's belief?
What is it? Let's go to our buddy Jeff in Chicago here. Just got done talking to Bill Mott. That was awesome. Jeff, hi. Welcome.
Oh, gentlemen. Great conversation with Bill.
Pretty cool, huh?
What,
You know what, Jeff? Let me just say this. Dustin and I were talking about it. Like, horse trainers, they work in silence. The TVs never come around until, like, the Kentucky Derby. So, like, to put, like a coach is going to get interviewed in the NBA. He knows he has to do pregame, postgame, in-game, all that kind of stuff. Like, this is his time to shine. So I thought it was pretty cool to catch up with him.
No, I thought it was great. And, like, good insight, like, from someone you don't hear from. But Patrick, just hang tight because I wanted to give you some props. Like, I've been listening for probably 4, 5, 6 years now. I'm not sure who brought around horse racing, but you were probably one of the first to VSiN, and to bring that to the forefront from what it was to what it is now, and now you have Samich and Aaron on their own VSiN shows and whatnot. Like, props to you. I don't know if that.
What's going on today? Why is everybody being so nice to me? I appreciate that.
But I mean, I'm not like blowing smoke. Like, that's like 100%. And like props to you for giving out picks as well. I mean, you went on the show. Great job. So, I just want to give you an overall, shout out, for the network, because you've done a great job.
Oh, it's very kind. Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate that. Very kind. Thank you. Now I'm embarrassed, but I'll get over it.
You shouldn't be. I mean.
No, thank you.
But,
I don't know what to say. What about NBA? You're a good man. I'm
He's
just uncomfortable.
I mean, hey, Patrick, truth is the truth. Sometimes you
Thank
need
you,
to have somebody, tell you how good of a job you're doing. So, props to you.
Thank you.
NBA tonight. I mean, I wanted the Thunder -9, 8.5. I ended up taking money line with the Celtics and Thunder. It is what it is. Just what are your guys' thoughts on those series in general? And then the last question is for Dustin. Now, this is long term, so you don't have to answer the question now, but Mother's Day is coming up. So I just wanted to see if anything for Mother's Day, as you've had in the years past, is in the works for Mother's Day.
Yeah, let's go. Now, the big guy, I thought you were going to ask, is he married yet? That's coming. He does call his girlfriend mom, so maybe we're talking about that. I don't know.
Really, she should be celebrating Father's Day, calling me daddy. No, look, I am not a father, therefore she is not a mother yet. And what I'd say is, though, we're practicing. It's like batting practice. You go to the batting cage for the game, batting practice for the game. That's what we're doing.
You're having sex. You're having sex.
Yeah.
Congratulations,
one day.
dude. Well put.
Thanks, bro.
Our buddy Drew Zinsick is going to join. He had sovereignty as well in the Kentucky Derby. Props to him. Basketball plays as well. VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
Covering the spread all night long. This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Live betting reaction to all of the night's action. You're tuned in to VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Here's Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson.
So I opened up the daily newsletter, our buddy Bill A.D., of course, this morning, and right at the top, now this isn't very common for Bill A.D., right at the top, he gave Mike Somich a shout-out and said, I hope he made you money. He made me money with the Super there at the Kentucky Derby. So props to Mike, props to Bill for giving props to Mike, and props to you for going and signing up for the newsletter right now. VSiN.com/newsletter. It's completely free. You just enter your email address and you get cooking. Our next guest is one of the best in the space, a good friend of ours, Drew Disnick. Okay, so let me just also say this. I was on Sovereignty. Drew was on Sovereignty. We'll get to the pricing. We just talked to Bill Mott. It was awesome. But Drew Disnick, I was on ChatGPT because I'm obsessed, and it was Grok. And I said, tell me why Sovereignty can win the Kentucky Derby. Grok starts spitting out all this information, and you know what happened? He said literally, also NBC's Drew Dinsick believes Sovereignty can win the Kentucky Derby. Bro, if AI is using you as an example to the world as to why to pick Sovereignty, you have to take a bow.
I that is one of the coolest stories I've heard of this entire cycle. Thank you for telling me that. That is way cool. I'm very, very proud of how broadly the work we did on behalf of NBC out there broke through. A lot of times you feel like you're screaming into the void, doing content. If you're not getting a pat on the back from the boss or whatever, you're just like, I don't see the numbers. I don't see the reach. So it's tough sometimes to know if you are reaching the people that really want to hear it. The Derby is probably the only example I can give you where it's like, you go out there and you get your boots in the mud on Saturday morning at 7 a.m. and people you've never hear from ever in your life are like, thank you for going out there. I really needed to know what the conditions were. I really needed to get the information that you put on film for that race. And so I'm lucky to be the guy to do it, surely. And I'm especially lucky this year because if you really want to break it down, I'm a numerical, I'm an analytic guy. So it's Sovereignty's going off in the 7-1 range, and I think he should be 5. And so the edge is non-trivial, but it's still we're talking about something that happens once every 12 or 15 runs. So it was kind of the perfect storm of as soon as you saw how the track was running early, and really as soon as I got out there and just kind of saw the condition the track was in on Saturday morning, and you talk to the smart weather people, and you're like, okay, so this is just going to deteriorate over the course of the day. That just flips the switch in your brain where you're like, okay. Pace thesis, I wasn't sure if we were going to get more of a true honest pace or something that was a little hotter, right? And for a horse like Sovereignty that has relatively little tactical speed, you worry about if it doesn't get hot, he might just be drawing dead, right? He's maybe the best of the 3-year-olds. And when it's all said and done, I expect he will be kind of rated the best of the 3-year-olds. But without the kind of knowing with higher certainty whether the pace was going to be hot or average, you're taking a leap there, and then you see the mud, you see the muck, you see it's just going to deteriorate with the rain just dumping, particularly in the morning, and you're like, okay, well, now you have 16 horses in this 19 horse field who have never really run in these conditions, and certainly never been behind a huge pack of horses in these conditions. So all the connections are going to try to push their guys up to the top. No one's getting, they're going to want to keep them out of the kickback, and that's almost, that makes the likelihood of a hot pace that much higher. And if this is a hot pace, Sovereignty is your dead closer. He is the guy that is, has the best closing kick, and he's just going to romp down the straightaway. And then just even beyond that, you looked at his past performances, you looked at, you watch his Florida Derby run, his Fountain of Youth. You're like, this horse, he desperately wants 1.25 miles. And, it was just the perfect storm of higher confidence that what the pace is going to be, higher confidence that who the horse is that's going to have the kick, and then even better than that, he was at a decent price. 7-1 is pretty good, so I dig it.
Dustin, listen to this, because I just pulled up my Grok chat. I said, why can Sovereignty win the Kentucky Derby? I'll give you the last part. He's also got a win at Churchill and a runner-up in the Florida Derby, proving he can compete at high levels. Plus, some experts, like NBC's Drew Dinsick, are calling him a top pick, citing his tactical speed and improving form. That's a legitimate shout-out via AI.
Okay.
I love it.
So, Drew, while that is freaking the coolest thing ever, does it scare you a little bit how much AI is following and trailing everything
Elon Musk.
on the internet? That would concern me. How about this?
Yeah.
How about the buildup of the race? Because you've been to a few of these now. And you remember, we a few months ago we dealt with it with the Super Bowl, where people go, you know, it's such a long buildup for the game, they get exhausted. But with Kentucky, with the Derby, it's a little bit different because despite it only being a 2-minute race, it feels like the buildup actually adds to the event. Can you talk about what it was like, boots on the ground, boots in the mud, with all that in the buildup for what ended up being an awesome race?
Well, the entire day itself is an experience that everybody who cares, anyone who calls themselves a gambling man or a gambling gal for that reason, really should at one point in their life go. Like, it is unreal, the pageantry, the energy. You're around 150,000 people that are there for one thing that lasts 2 minutes. Like, it's absolutely mind blowing. And the day of the racing, the racing card that they put together, particularly on Saturday, was like that was like that. I've been to 4 or 5 Breeders' Cups. I've been to 4 Kentucky Derbies now. Like, I've lots of amazing races I've seen in person. That card they had on Saturday was just out of this world good. And you get Pat Day Mile. Pat Day Mile had just an absolutely phenomenal finish. Race 7, like down to the wire, closing kick mattered. Race 8 was a killer. Race 9 was a killer. Race 10 was a killer. And then race 11, that might have been the race of the day. They come around on the American turf 8 wide. And it's like that. This is anyone here. And it was extremely, extremely competitive card of racing. They had all the superstars loaded up on Friday, so you got to see them. They had all the best races loaded up on the undercard on Saturday, and so the pick 6 was electric, and the atmosphere was just impossibly good. And then it is like a little bit of like a, okay, now we gotta buckle down. We gotta kill some time. We got an hour and a half before they run this thing. I'm already nervous. You've already made your wagers. Your superfectors in. You're sweating. Over this relatively long amount of time. And I actually have a fun story for you guys for this little segment here. So, producer and I are intending to film like a watch along that they're gonna then cut, with the race, and put it out on YouTube. And so we're like, we want a good angle. We're at the stakes room, which is the 4th floor of Churchill Downs, and it's at the finish line, right? And it's nice, thankfully covered porch, right? So you're not getting rained on. And we're scouting it out in the undercard races, and we're like, okay, there's a pretty clear best place to stand, like no question asked. Your belly against the rail, like right on the finish line. And we're like, okay, we got to make sure we get that spot for for the race itself. So we line up there for race 11, and then stay the whole time, as it was like an hour and probably 20 minutes or so for them to kind of get the race off. And the as we were standing there, Gal sidles up next to us, is like, hey, my husband or kids are walking our horse out for the Derby. You mind if I stand next to you guys and take pictures and film? And we're like, oh, your horse? Like, which one's your horse? Like, that's unreal. And it's like, oh, Citizen Bull. And I was like, well, we'll cheer for Citizen Bull for you, even though I don't have him on any of my bets, but that would be pretty amazing. And she's like, oh, well, we also are cheering for journalism because we own Curlin. And I was like, oh my God.
Oh my.
I was like, what? Oh, it's like, so you're Stone Street Farms. Okay, cool. Very cool. That's unbelievably, like, this is like horse racing royalty. It's just like, okay, we're going to get to stand next to her and watch the Kentucky Derby. That's freaking awesome. Turns out also owned the Jackson family wines, which is Kendall Jackson, and all of this, the California royalty on top of it all. So it was way, way, way cool to just kind of mix with the people who kind of put their life into the sport. And so what was an hour and a half that could have felt like an eternity, as you're so nervous waiting for that race to tick off, ended up just going by in the blink of an eye. And then the race itself was one of the most That was one of the most memorable derbies that I've seen. I mean, obviously, Rich Strike going bananas and having
No,
that
stop it.
run
Stop.
was.
No, I was just about to. First off, just hearing Curling gives me chills. One of the great horses of all time. Then, secondly, you've been to 4. I've been to 1. And you actually were a guest on the show that I did that day, but that's one of the ones you didn't come to. I saw Rich Strike. I was at the finish line, Drew, when Rich Strike passed, owners and others were like, who is this horse? They had no clue. You just witnessed. I think it's an instant classic because
Absolutely.
we got the showdown. Journalism is that good, and Sovereignty was just better. But I think it's a classic because they were nose to nose, and it's probably the 2 we wanted, and it delivered.
I think that was actually really well framed. Yeah, yes, the fact that those were the 2 best, and it was relatively well known, and that it came down to who does have the distance, and the fact, and it was Sovereignty. It will be forever mentioned, forever remembered. Some of the photos they got were just absolutely spectacular. The fact that we knew Sovereignty was going to run in the back and just get completely caked in mud, and then just be coming like a freight train caked in mud down the outside, was incredible. And I got to add this a little bit too. Like, there was rail bias there all day long yesterday, and Sovereignty did it in the like the lane 4. And so the fact that he was able to do it in the deeper mud, like, that just tells you like what a special horse that is. And I ultimately don't know what the connections will do one way or the other about running him in the Preakness. I would be pretty shocked. I feel like every year there's like we might not, and then they're like, what are we talking about? Of course we are. Like, that's kind of how it goes. But it is definitely true that I don't know that he wants that distance, and it's definitely true that that's going to be a smaller field with some elite sprinters. Like, we're expecting Rodriguez will be back for that. Journalism's going to run it. Like, it's probably going to be, you got your closing duel between Journalism and Sovereignty in the Derby, and you're going to get your speed duel between what is a very elite speed class on paper in the Preakness, I think.
Big guy, we asked Bill Mott. We had Bill Mott on right before we had Drew, and I said, don't kill me, but I have to ask you, Preakness. He said that he talked to the connections, but then he didn't really give us an answer. Wasn't that true?
Yeah, he said, look, we're going to talk, and I wrote down Tuesday or Wednesday we'll get an announcement. I have a feeling they want to make a big deal out of this, but you can't sit that out. Look, part of doing whatever industry you're in, isn't it an obligation to look out for the health of that sport? It feels like the sport needs the potential of a Triple Crown threat. In order to do that, you got to run the first 2 races. I mean, level of disappointment, Drew, if you were to hear on Tuesday or Wednesday, they come out and they say, you know what? We're just going to back off. We won the Derby. We're going to stud. That's the deal. How disappointed would you be?
It'd be hugely disappointed. I mean, like, we're talking probably not as disappointed as when they retired Justify after he won the Triple Crown, right? Like that. That's when, like, what do you mean we're never going to see him run again? What are you talking about? Right? I would love to see it contested, and I would love to be wrong. I would love to see him win it and then go into the Belmont at Saratoga with the chance to add to history. And ultimately I think cooler heads will prevail and run. And ultimately I think this horse has a chance to kind of have a long and outstanding career. Like last year's Fierceness wasn't able to ship the Derby, but ultimately had a pretty amazing 3-year-old campaign. Like, I would expect something of that level or better out of what we see from Sovereignty in 2025.
I was so pissed when they shut down Justify. I just wanted to see Justify continue to run that beast. Drew Dinsick joining us, NBC sports betting analyst, deep dive podcast at Whale_Capper. One more, and we'll move on. You and I were talking a little bit about this, and obviously doing what you do, you get to see a lot of great events. Maybe you can explain to a greater audience, like the Kentucky Derby delivers. You have a perception of Churchill Downs. You have a perception of what the vibe's going to be like, and then you're in it, and it's just freaking awesome.
Yes, and the number one thing that people kind of don't realize is the sound of 150,000 people like simultaneously screaming when they come around the home stretch is like You could probably hear it in Chicago. You could probably hear it in Vegas. No, I don't know, but I mean, like it is such a one of one sound that really kind of cuts you to the core. You're just like, this is unreal. 150,000 people are here screaming, and the fact that on a day like yesterday they stayed through the rain. You look around the infield and it's just a shoulder to shoulder. People, and you're like, these people just they live for it. Like they stayed through the worst conditions just to see this race, and it's awesome. And then like I don't need to make much more of a case for horse racing than it makes for itself, honestly. Just the excitement of watching any race at all with skin in the game. If you're a gambler, you're just like, "Whew, man, this you can hit a score for, you know how hard it is to hit a score of 100 to 1 in sports betting. Otherwise, you're in the lab putting together some 20 leg parlay or, some same game parlay with these
Been
just
there.
like super rare outcomes. Like I just want the 100 to 1 score, right? Well, shoot, man. Like you listen to, you have the right read on a given race with the pace and you hit the trifecta. It's like that's not that uncommon. It's really not. And
Yeah.
it's just like that the fact that it can happen that quick is just awesome. And then in particular, like seeing a race in person that you have skin in and just seeing a good race that's clean, that's run clean and fair and has a finish like we saw 7 times on Saturday. It's just like this is as good as it gets in sports. And I think certainly the more I see it, the experience builds. And if again, like hit me up. Anyone questions about what else is special about the Derby experience because like it's all you can eat, all you can drink there on Saturday. Like there's no real bad seat in the house, really, just because again, it's about it's the people watching, and it's kind of having the energy and the vibe there is so superlative. But they do an amazing job running that race. It's growing exponentially. Did you see the handle yesterday?
It's insane.
It's 340. Like get out
Insane.
of here. Like that's amazing. Like yeah. So it's very cool that this continues to kind of be at least for my money like the premier yearly sporting event.
And big guy, I've said this to you a million times, and Drew maybe agrees, maybe disagrees, but I believe if you're going to get into this industry, talking about sports betting, you should have to learn to bet on the horses because to me that's handicapping. Like I know it's parimutuel and it's a little bit different, but it's such an intricate process to handicap horse racing. I think it really helps you hone your skills. Drew, would you disagree or agree as far as the other sports as well? It's such a process.
100% agree. Just like, and it because it forces you to dedicate yourself to learn a new language, which is the form, right? Like
Yeah.
that, like if you're gonna do it and if you're gonna have success, if you're gonna develop a process, you got to learn to read the form. And like that in of itself is rewarding and kind of teaches you things. And then when you're ready to take it a step forward beyond that and like really kind of come up with a thesis for how the pace is going to shape a given race and what that means in terms of where the betting value is and what the combinations to consider are, like that's really how you unlock like super actionable, valuable betting in horse racing. Like that the most successful sports bettor on planet Earth is the guy that shipped was what was his name, Bill Benter, the guy that shipped just I don't know the exact number, but people speculate hundreds of millions of dollars out of the Hong Kong pony pools, and
Yep.
it's just like if you can kind of come up with a way to solve it and bet on it and win long term, like you've reached the highest level of where you can kind of aspire to be, I think, as a handicapper, because it is absolutely you get out of what you put into it from a betting, from a handicapping standpoint. So strong agree.
Bill Benter confirmed a couple things.
Yep.
Don't you guys feel like the legalization of all the other sports helped lift the stigma even more off of horse racing, even though it was always legal because you could always go to a track? It just made it more accessible for the casuals that normally maybe wouldn't go through the process of betting it. But now because so many more people are just betting on sports in general, all they got to do is move over to the horse racing section and place some bets and build some tickets. Could that have helped with that handle being so much bigger?
That actually checks out. Because I've been trying to figure it out. There were conversations I had with really high up people who were like a little worried about this year's Derby because it was 151, right? And the attendance was going to get hit. The weather didn't look great, and the question really was going to be could the pool hold up? And credit to what they did putting together that card because they got everybody interested. But the fact that they grew year over year in a year where it wasn't 150th anniversary experience is pretty amazing. And yeah, if you want to kind of point to the fact that just sort of the betting handle overall is growing because more and more people are interested in sports betting, and then kind of develop a, like, well, what else is going on this weekend, right? Like, they did a great job of putting together some amazing fights over the weekend. We had game sevens in the NBA and the NHL. So like, we can fight with people who care about the Super Bowl more than they care about anything else in sports. That's pick your, sweet the first round of March Madness or whatever. But like the amount of interest in sports betting probably hit its crescendo over the weekend, and yeah, hopefully it gets bigger and bigger every year.
Great job framing it, and great job with sovereignty. NBC sports betting analyst, our buddy Drew Dinsick, joining us. Deep Dive Podcast. You can find him on Twitter at @whale_capper. We'll transition a little bit. By the way, at the break, the Celtics are up 16 over your Knicks, big guy. Here's the thing, and I know you're on Oklahoma City tonight. I just don't see how the Nuggets turn around and make this competitive tonight. Are you along the same lines with your numbers? You've got 9.5 laying it tonight with OKC.
Yeah, there's obviously a premium on this number, right? If this was a neutral rest game, I think we would probably see something more like 7.5. So there's 2.5 point premium here, but that's not enough of an adjustment for how bad of a spot this is. This is as bad as it possibly gets. So it's a little bit it's to kind of get rest disadvantage correct in the NBA, you need to, kind of have a process to do that. And my numbers say that basically, like, if each of these teams goes out and plays their average game, like it's a neutral situation, that would be your 50th percentile expectation, right? Well, because of the rest advantage for the Thunder in this game, it is completely reasonable to think you're going to get like an 84th percentile, like, so +1, an epsilon of +1. So they're going to they're going to have a quote unquote good game just because of the amount of rest that they've got. And the 16th percentile out of the Nuggets, they're going to quote unquote have a bad game because of the fatigue. So this is a tried and true, the resume of these specific examples in NBA history, which again, NBA playoff game is a massively liquid market. It still can't ever really price this correctly because it is such a, you have to basically go in with this expectation that there's going to be a good game and a bad game, and you need to know how good and how bad to get the number right. And, fair is probably something around 12, maybe even 15. It's tough to say because, again, like, think through, like, the fact that this is a game one, and that, like, if we get into the third quarter and there's a 20-point advantage, like, that is your quintessential, like, let go of the rope, Denver. Like, regroup for game two, guys. Like, there's a lot of basketball left, and there's not a lot of chance for you to fight back in this game. So might as well not put 40 minutes on Jokic, guys. Right? Like, there's surely an entire decision making, kind of what's best for us in terms of winning this series is not leaving our bodies on the floor tonight in an effort where we're almost certainly going to lose by double digits. So, now a game where the Nuggets come out and are razor sharp and hitting all their threes, and the Thunder have rust, then it gets a little sweaty. Then you're waiting for the fatigue to kick in the second half and the Nuggets to just drop dead. But, like, ultimately this is sort of the game 7 unders, and the team down 0-2, returning home first half, the big rest disadvantage game ones. Like, these are the last sort of golden angles that exist in NBA playoff betting that I can tell you. And, they don't always come through. Just ask the Clippers, who decided not to play defense. But, the general, kind of opportunity to, hit 4 or 5 of these over a given, actually you probably get like 8 or 10 of these on with the first halves over the balance of a given playoffs. And, you're going to hit 7 or 8 usually. So I think ultimately you just got to play them when they come.
Everything you said about the Nuggets and the exhaustion and what it took
Hold
to
my
get here. Can we apply that to the Warriors and the Timberwolves coming up tomorrow, 9:35, Minnesota laying 7, 209.5. It feels like the same exact scenario, Drew. What do you think?
It does. It does. And I think there's an added level of challenge with handicapping the that series because you have clear experience and coaching on one side with the Warriors, but you have a Timberwolves team that not only are they playoff. They're playoff tested. Last year, making a run to the Western Conference Finals. Like these guys have some scalps, but the real opportunity to kind of come up with what is fair is going to be clouded by the rest advantage in game one. So you could see a situation here where if you have a strong opinion that the Timberwolves are just flat out better, right? Like this in a lot of ways, this is the same series that the Warriors just struggled to get through in 7, except it's a team that doesn't just completely lose their offense for 5 minutes at a time, right? This is you're playing the same sort of young, physical, lengthy, well schemed defensively team, except they can shoot. And so you're in trouble if you're the Warriors, in my opinion, regardless of how bad your disadvantage is in game one. And that's what's kind of exciting about this series is that, you can keep it simple and just like hit the series, series price on the Wolves, expecting that you're getting a free one in pocket with game one. Or you can bet game one, which I did, and then expect that there will be an expectation that we return to neutral and that this is actually a little bit of a close series and there's not much margin between these two teams. And I'm not sure that's true. I think there is margin between these two teams. And I think ultimately the fact that Curry had to, run as many miles as he did and had to fight through the most difficult series in terms of finding his offense that he has had in the last, since the Celtics finals. Like that's a problem. Like that's not even really just a one, we lose this game, that's okay, we'll bounce back type of situation. Like Curry is a smaller dude. He carries an enormous percentage of the offense for the Warriors. If he is having an off night, that Warriors offense is a problem. There's no real plan B except Jimmy Butler go to the rack, go to the free throw line. Like it's a real tough hang offensively when things aren't going right for Curry. And I'll kind of be I don't wish this to necessarily be the last time we see him in a short series, but I'm not going to be surprised considering the matchup.
Totally agree. I didn't hear, Drew, we'll get one more in. I didn't hear your thoughts pre-series Pacers-Cavs. Pacers 121-112 last night in Cleveland. Did you adjust after game one?
I think you have to. I think the Cavs' health is absolutely now a potential problem. I think the Cavs' coaching is a potential problem. I know Kenny Atkinson is doing a victory lap right now as your coach of the year, but his ability to come up with a playoff rotation that made sense in a game where you were down at home was not on display in game one. Like I know that like the absence of Garland was very clearly and obviously felt. I know that the shooting luck was there for the Pacers in that game, but I don't know what was going on with some of the decision making in terms of who was on the court, particularly as you were trying to close that gap. You have a couple limited players offensively, you have a couple liabilities defensively, get a lot of minutes for guys like Strus and in particular Okoro, who I'm not sure really has any minutes, in his budget for this series if you expect to win. So, this could go one of either of two ways. We saw it with Daigneault last year, I thought, against the Mavericks, where he was getting outcoached in the, kind of early middle portion of that series, and he never really solved it. He never got Dort out of the dunker spot. He never got the offense, the half court offense out of, stuck in neutral. And like that might be ultimately what happens with this Cavs team and with Atkinson this year, where he doesn't exactly figure it out, and they don't have injury. The injury luck doesn't break their way. But like I was not expecting Game 1 to be especially competitive. I didn't bet it either way. I don't have anything in the series right now, but like the degree to which they got out coached, I thought was pretty obvious. And then now you have question marks swirling certainly about when are we going to see Garland back? How rusty is he going to be? When, what is the situation with Mobley? Like, is he going to ultimately have to either reduce his, his defensive actions, or is he going to have to, miss time in this series? That's a huge problem. This Cavs defense has like quietly slipped since about All-Star break till into the close. And this is not the type of team you can have, an off series defensively and get a clean win against, because the Pacers can shoot. The Pacers can move the ball around. It's a tough team to defend with, the engine that is Tyrese Halliburton, running at all cylinders. So I'm quietly, of the favorites, I'm quietly the most concerned about the Cavaliers. But at the exact same moment, like if Garland is back on the floor and he's fine, and if Mobley's injury is really nothing to be worried about, and if Atkinson kind of goes through the learning curve in this series about what the pieces he has are and how they ought to be put together, then they probably come through here and are a stronger team against the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals. So, this is kind of a breaks either way in a strong direction here for these guys. And I'm gonna keep my powder dry, watch what they look like in Game 2 and 3, because it sounds like Garland may not ultimately be back, at least high confidence be back, until Game 3. And at that point, you'll see, what kind of form he's in. Is he like more like, kind of pushing to get back? Because again, like I was surprised he wasn't out there for Game 1. I thought with all that rest, I thought they were keeping him out of caution. I thought it was likely we were just going to see him back and they were going to be full strength, but no. So, clearly that's a bigger issue, question mark injury than they were ultimately letting on. And I think generally you're going to have to see some signs of life, some rotation decisions that make sense out of Atkinson to bet into a Cavs series price. And I think you're probably going to want to wait until they're down 2-1 and get a plus money number, as they're maybe closer to, either a small favorite or a pick 'em in Game 4.
Dustin, before we say goodbye to Drew, because the betting space is filled with idiots like you and me, he's too smart to be in the space. Can you think of a smarter? Samich is a smart guy. Can you think of a smarter person in this dumb betting space than Drew? Give me one name.
Because here's the thing. The trouble I have, and I don't know this about Drew yet personally, but I have a feeling there are these random subjects that he's also super smart about.
Oh, he knows about history.
He
that
knows
about
him apart.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He probably knows about reptiles. He probably has a lot of like idiosyncratic like interests, and he can just wax poetic about crazy topics. True or false, Drew?
It's true. My day job is earthquake engineering, right? I'm a seismologist.
Yes, I did know that. Like I'll never be able to flex that I'm anything engineer and also talk about sports betting. So that's an instant win right there. Although I did watch again, just a shout out. I did watch the Washington documentary on Prime over the weekend.
Oh.
And you would like it, Dustin. The Washington documentary. The Grant and Lincoln and Washington documentaries that they did? Yes. Tremendous. Drew, I encourage you to watch it. It's 3 pieces. It's 3 parts. You're going to love it. And it's better than Boston and New York, because that's like a 20-point game right now.
I love it. I grew up in the shadow of Mount Vernon, so I will absolutely track that down.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I love it. Great job, man. It was great to talk to you. Drew Dinsick, of course, and tremendous job with Sovereignty and NBC's coverage over at Churchill Downs. Deep Dive podcast if you want to get smarter at @whale_capper. Thank you, Drew. We'll talk to you soon, my friend.
All right. Best of luck, guys. Have a great one.
Okay. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Yeah, he's an engineer, so that's all you need to know.
It tracks. It all tracks.
He used words like he was using a couple words, and I'm like, yeah, I know what he's talking about. Like Epsilon or something. I was like, yep. I'm in. I am just a 47-year-old man that has been gambling my whole entire life, knows a lot about gambling, but I'm throwing darts, people. I just like to throw cash. He has a system, and that is factual. All right, when we come back, we'll get the in-game number here with Boston and the Knicks. The Knicks offense right now is Houston Rocket-like. We'll discuss it coming back. It's VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio with Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson. Welcome back to VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Here's Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson.
67-52, Boston leads the Knicks. 6:54 to play in the third. So maybe the Knicks try to claw their way back. They were just down close to 18, so they're clawing back just a little bit here as Boston hits a three. White hits a three, so now it's back up to 18, 70-52.
No, I mean, there is a good I know there's talks about roster construction for the Celtics going forward following this year. I don't know what that meant in terms of maybe reducing or going after another big name and packaging some of these guys in the offseason. But the reality is the core of the Celtics roster, if they don't win 2 more championships in their time together, I'll be massively disappointed. I mean, that is how talented, that is how much deeper they are than everyone else in the league. And right now, they are so much further in the next class than the Knicks. Early in this game, by the way, you know what they did? They pulled out the hack 'em Mitch Robinson strategy very early. First quarter, made him go to the line. In 12 minutes, he's been to the line 8 times, and he's hit 2 free throws. So Mitch is a liability on the court offensively. He's great defensively, but anytime he's on the offensive end, they're going to try and foul him and make him shoot free throws where he is inept at doing that. So Boston just has so many more options every time down the floor. Every time I look up at this TV screen here at the Win, it's the Knicks players running to close on a wide open Celtic player shooting a 3.
Yeah, that's what they do. The conference semifinals are underway on SiriusXM NBA Radio Channel 86 at 9:30 Eastern. The Denver Nuggets take on Oklahoma City in an impossible spot in Game 1. Hear it live on NBA Radio Channel 86. And remember, you can find all the home and away calls for the postseason SiriusXM.com/sports. Dustin is, as he mentioned, hanging at the SiriusXM studios at the Win, which are incredible. Our buddy Jeremiah there, we appreciate him. Ryan Smith, as always, our ride or die, along with Naya. You can find us on YouTube, youtube.com/VSiN Live. Get involved in the chat. Ryan does a great job running all of that. And we might be able to see the Bill Mott interview at some point over on our YouTube channel as well. The Maple Leafs do lead 2-0 over the Panthers with 5:06 to play up in Toronto. So a nice little start by the Maple Leafs. I was actually just replying to my friend Vince. I went and watched a game with him last night, and then I went over to this place, and all they serve is burgers. It's called Proudly Serving, and it's just this little – it started as a street vendor. The burgers were so good that they got a spot here in Hermosa Beach, and they just opened up a place that just serves burgers.
Oh.
And one of the burgers has this special sauce on it. It's like the PS burger if you're looking at the menu. I need to tell you this, people. It was like a religious experience. When you get the right cheeseburger, which I had last night, it was exquisite. Exquisite. By myself, just sitting there eating a burger.
These are smash burgers, which are the new thing. That's the trendy thing. LA has a ton of smash burgers. I have to tell you, I'm a big smash burger fan because it's more surface area, smack down there, and it gets charred and crispy and has that bite and the oil on the bread and then the giant pickles and any mayo-based sauce. Slap it on there with some raw onions.
What was the sauce made of? Do you have it in front of you?
Let me look it up. I'm looking at the pictures of it, and this place is
PS.
This place, we might need to get them to sponsor the show. Let's see what the menu says.
The PS burger. It's some sort of special sauce. So the sauce, I'm telling you, I couldn't believe it.
Dipping sauces, okay. They have a section for their dipping sauces.
No. This was on the BS burger.
Yeah. BS burger.
PS. P is in Patrick.
PS. Special sauce. It's their special sauce.
Okay. Well, whatever that was.
I don't know what's in
it.
Whew. It's probably mayo, ketchup, and some other stuff.
Whatever. It worked. It worked. By the way, I did want to comment. I think that the Nuggets tonight and the Warriors tomorrow are legitimately – I think there's less than a 0% chance either can win the game. Whether or not, I think it's jumped up to 10.5 with Oklahoma City laying it. What we call spots, and maybe we should explain this a little bit, what we call spots in sports betting, when you say they're in an impossible spot due to a rest disadvantage, due to travel, and there's other variables you could throw in it. But tonight, the Nuggets, after turning around a 7-game series against the Clippers, turning around traveling, already a short team as far as players. Indiana Pacers, they'll play 11, 12 guys or whatever it is. The Nuggets, you know how short the rotation is. Now they're going to take on the best team in basketball who are completely rested at home. Impossible spot for the Nuggets tonight.
Yeah, for the Nuggets, a big issue is that Jokic is just carrying everyone. I know Murray had the one game where he had like 42, 43 points, but the reality is this team goes as far as Jokic can carry them, and there's a lot of issues with that. One, he has slowed down a ton. Last 3 games of the Clippers series, 18 points per game on 16.3 shot attempts over those final 3. Was that because Zubats was playing great defense on him, or is that because he's starting to break down from having to do so much because they just don't have a bench? And then speaking of a lack of a bench, if you wanted to rest Jokic and you're that kid Adelman coaching Denver right now, you can't, because in the non-Jokic minutes, they are minus 9.3 per 100 possessions in net rating, whereas they're plus 10.5 net rating with him on the floor. They don't win those minutes ever. They are completely inept. They have no depth. And Oklahoma City, by the way, if it's a 2-man game with Jokic and Murray, they can throw 4 different perimeter defenders at Murray. He's in so much trouble, which means one of the others has to step up. That means you need a big game from Christian Brown. Not going to happen because he's chasing SGA around. He is going to be exhausted. And then it comes down to Michael Porter Jr. and Aaron Gordon, who you just can't rely on offensively every night. That's it. They're impossible.
No.
It's impossible.
I'd be shocked if the Timberwolves don't win by doubles tonight. And then equally, I think 7.5 short tomorrow night with the Warriors are going to be crawling to Minnesota. Tired.
I didn't look up how they generally do in game ones, but with the way that they just went 7 with Houston, a younger team. Also, I should note, they're underdogs in a playoff series for the first time in more than 10 years. Last time was round 1, 2014, where they lost in 7 to the Clippers. But doesn't this feel like a spot where Steve Kerr goes, look, we have championship pedigree. They don't. We have experience. They don't. We are older than them. They're younger. Just take game 1 off and we'll figure out the rest of the series. I know that's kind of a weird take, but it feels like similar to what went down when Golden State got smoked in game 6 by Houston. Take this one off and let's give this 100% effort down 0-1.
It has whatever that game was in Houston vibes, where you might see the Warriors sitting for a quarter and a half.
See my man Pat Spencer out there dropping threes in a number 62 in a real playoff game.
Yeah. That dude was a great lacrosse player.
Was he really?
Yeah.
I would have, if you would have said he played another sport and was great at it, the guesses in order based on the complexion of his skin would have been golf and then lacrosse. So it was a 50-50
maybe a professional lacrosse player.
Oh.
You might want to look that up. I think he might have been. He's a great lacrosse player, that donk. So just lets you know.
Yeah. Played for Loyola.
Is he professional?
I don't know about professional. Let's see. Probably could have went pro would be my guess.
No, I heard
he was a 4-time All-American.
No. I think he's one of the all-time greats. That's my point. I brought you a little something.
That's normally a closing tab segment, but that is incredible. Played basketball at Northwestern, Loyola for lacrosse. Yeah, he was a 4-time All-American.
No, he was incredible. I don't know what to tell you. I'm just dropping knowledge on you. All right, so those are the 2 impossible spots. When we return, let's get into the series that are opening up on the ice, and we'll get to your calls. 888-MAD-DOG-6, 888-623-3646. Hurricanes Caps, fascinating tomorrow. Oilers VGK, 2 great series. It's VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio with Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson. Sweat your bets with VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Here's Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson.
All right, make sure you sweat your bets over at vsin.com/subscribe. Again, our very own Mike Somich handed out the super at the Kentucky Derby. We've got bets. We've got the NFL betting guide coming. We got you covered, people. You want to bet baseball? Go to vsin.com/subscribe. Use the promo code SIRIUS. You get everything for $19 through August 1st. Dustin Swedelson, I'm Patrick Meagher as we welcome you back. 81-68, Boston leads. Listen. You have to give your boys some credit as they get a bucket here to cut it to 11. You got to give them you're not a true Knicks fan because you don't even really care. You got to give them credit for fighting here.
No, look, there's a lot of different kinds of hope, but false hope is the worst one because giving people credit for fighting is the least they can do. It's their jobs to fight. It's their jobs to try. It's just not their fault that they're not good enough as Brunson hits a 3 and now it's an 8-point game. So maybe I might be getting a little excited.
Brunson just hit a big 3 in the eyeball of the Celtics. A little shake and bake. 3 kisses the 3 to the sky. That's his thing. And it is literally an 8-point game.
Just like that.
This is wild.
Hey, if they come back and if they get a bucket here, it's very interesting.
Why don't you pull up the in-game number?
So it was just 14 and a half.
Horford just missed a 3 from the corner. They have a chance to cut it here.
I'm a little ahead of you. So already on the next possession. It was ugly. But let's see what's going to happen here. Shot from OG, misses a 3, rebound Knicks. The foul was called. But, okay, right before we came back from break, it was Celtics minus 14 and a half. In the time we've been back from break, which is what, a minute and a half, it's now Celtics minus 7.5. I might lay the 7.5 with the Celtics, I'm going to be honest.
All right, dog.
Do you hate that for me? Do you hate that I'm going
You might do what?
Team?
Say it again?
Lay 7.5 with the Celtics right now in game.
Well, I guess you just is that emotional hedge or are you just being a hater on your own team?
Being a hater. They can't sustain this. I laid 8.5 minus 130. Come on. Spinning wheel. Yep, we got it.
All right.
Sorry.
I
want to be wrong.
The Ravens and general manager, they released a statement a few hours back. They said sometimes football decisions are incredibly difficult, and this is one of those instances. Considering our current roster, we have made the tough decision to cut Justin Tucker. Justin created many significant and unforgettable moments in Ravens history. His reliability, focus, drive, resilience, and extraordinary talent made him one of the league's best kickers for over a decade. We are grateful for Justin's many contributions while playing for the Ravens. We sincerely wish him and his family the very best in the next chapter of their lives. That is a weird statement.
Well, it was not correct me if I'm wrong, but now he stunk at football a year ago. But this was not a football decision.
No, that's what I'm saying. Dude, the amount of women that have come out and said, you homeboy's a creep. Now, I'm not
16.
Everybody's innocent until proven guilty.
Yes.
But the statement from the Ravens that is a little too laudatory.
Yeah, look, you're being more legal than I am right now. I probably shouldn't go this route, but 1 is one thing. 2 accusers is another. 3 is another. 16 is like,
there's 16.
Okay. And that means there's still maybe some that are scared to come forward. So it's like, yeah, he might just be a disgusting human being.
But you would agree that it's an odd release? You should, in that situation, the Ravens just come out and say, we've decided to cut Justin Tucker.
We as a society, and I'll speak for society, even though I'm barely a member at times, we appreciate when people are upfront and honest. That statement from the Ravens couldn't be more disingenuous. They are just covering up what this is really about, and it's that they cannot employ a person with that going on behind the scenes.
Correct. And again, I know nothing. He's going to have his day in court.
Yeah.
It's just, as Dustin said, there's 16 women that have come forward to say, that guy is creepy, and he made us feel weird. Not my business. What is my business is hockey. All right? You know that's right. Big guy. And we're going to be discussing it next.
Covering the spread all night long. This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. covering the spread all night long. This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Here's Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson.
Yeah, sorry, JD, you got cut off. I'm going to look that up. That's unfortunate. As we do welcome you back here, VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio. Right now, the Knicks had started to make a run, and it is a 9-point game, 84-75, with a big three missed by the Celtics. A good rebound as the fourth quarter underway. Dustin, you laid 7.5 in game with the Celtics.
8.5, but these are a big stretch of minutes right now. Jalen Brunson's off the floor for the Knicks. Deuce McBride is out there. Deuce McBride got hurt late in the year and has not been the same. If the Knicks have any chance of winning a game or two in this series, Deuce McBride has to add some offense in the few minutes Jalen Brunson ends up sitting. So this is a big stretch with 11 minutes to go and a 9-point game. Can they just tread water in this spot until Brunson's back?
Let's transition from basketball to a real sport, my friend. And that is, and you know, Patrick the Puck over here. Every time I get together with my guy, JD, Jonathan Davis, it's real. VSiN's NHL analyst. He does a great job. He picks every day over at vsin.com/picks, but a plethora of picks, not just sides and totals. He gets the props. If you really want to get involved, you got to follow Jonathan Davis. Of course, SiriusXM NHL radio host as well. At West Coast HKY on Twitter. JD, how we feeling?
We're feeling good. It was a great weekend of what we saw in with Dallas and Colorado Saturday night. I mean, you couldn't write a better script to have the former Colorado Avalanche come back and score a hat trick in the third period and have his team come back from 2-0, win Game 7 4-2, and then what would happen in Winnipeg last night, Sunday, scoring 2 goals in the final 90 seconds in the tire with 1.6. It was remarkable.
It was. JD, I was eating dinner with a friend, and there were people there that didn't care about hockey. Like, you could tell they'd never seen a hockey game. People were so wrapped up in that Jets-Blues game. I thought the Blues carried the play. I thought the Blues, Hellebuck was leaky early, seemed to settle in, but I thought the Blues were the better team. And then all of a sudden, the puck bounces one way, less than 2 minutes to go. They're down 1, and then 1.7 to go, empty net. They score, force it to overtime, double overtime. The Jets advance. That's about as crazy as you're going to see as far as an ending.
Yeah, absolutely. And good, look, good for Connor Hellebuck because at least for now he's exercised one of the demons. He's able to get through the first round. Still wasn't very good through the majority of the playoffs. And good for Winnipeg. I mean, look, as a guy who grew up in Canada, I can tell you, there ain't a lot to do in Winnipeg. So for them to be able to continue and have, the Jets in round number 2, good for the Winnipeg Jets. It's a great fan base. So good on them.
Let's talk about that series price, JD, because, look, after the trade deadline, Dallas was the team. Everyone was on. Everyone was excited with what they did, making the additions. But then injuries down the stretch. They come back. They beat the Avalanche. They take care of business. They're minus 160 favorites against the Jets. Is there any chance the Jets, who are plus 135, could this be the beginning of a team of destiny type run against the Stars team that if I would have asked you about a week ago, you probably would have been more down on than you are now?
Well, I mean, look, they were the President's Trophy winner, which means they had the most points in the league. They're a big, a minus 160. Dallas is minus 160 because the Jets may be without 2 of their best players in Mark Scheifele, who's their career leading goal scorer, and their best defenseman, Josh Morrissey, who got hurt in the first period last night. On the other hand, Dallas is likely to get back 2 of their best players who didn't play in round 1. So I think that's why we see a lopsided price like we do. Look, all four road teams, so the inferior record, are the favorites essentially in round 2. Never seen that before.
Mm-hmm. That is, look, I was wrong. Now, they're getting beat tonight. The Panthers at the Leafs right now, end to 1 up there where your son goes to school. The Maple Leafs lead 3-1. I was wrong about the Panthers. They were playing, this, JD, they were banged up towards the end of the season, but they were playing maybe the worst hockey in hockey coming down the stretch. They couldn't score goals. And then they just went out and really, specifically in the final game, boat raced Tampa. I mean, the Panthers look like they're rounding into form, though the Maple Leafs, as I mentioned, up 3-1. Did you have an opinion of the series coming into it?
I did. I mean, look, I said I took the Panthers minus 1.5 games. I thought, and look, the worst lead in hockey, Patrick, and Dustin, what we saw in the weekend is a 2-goal lead. So don't get comfortable if you're Toronto. I think Florida kind of played possum coming down the stretch. They were just getting themselves ready for game 83 and beyond. I expected Toronto to win at least one game. They're on home ice. This is far from over. We still got 40 minutes to go, but credit Toronto, who's totally dominated, Florida both on the goal, with a 3-1 lead and a 12-4 shot advantage. But I would expect to see a big push from Florida here in the second period.
Well, let's be honest about Toronto, JD. I know you don't think they have the fortitude, and you have every reason to question them. I question them too. Every time this time of year we get excited that this is the year the Maple Leafs figure it out. Talk to us about why people wanting to back Toronto should be concerned potentially about them coming through when it matters the most.
Well, look, their two best players, Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner, are two guys that don't seem to raise the level of their game and don't seem to be able to play big boy hockey, once the playoffs come around. And that's what Florida is all about. Like they want to extract scar tissue from you every game they play, every hit they make. So that's been the problem for Toronto. Now, look, they've got William Nylander. Toronto has stepped up tonight. He's got back-to-back 2-goal games. He's got 8 goals in his last 9 playoff games. There's a guy that comes to play. Look, but I got Matthew Tkachuk on the Florida side. I got Brad Marchand on the Florida side. I'm not concerned yet, but there's Toronto. Hey, look, they got off to a nice start. There's still a lot of game left. So we'll see where it goes. And also, by the way, if you want to play a little in game here, Mitch Marner of the Toronto Maple Leafs, you grab him for an anytime goal tonight. Not only is he got the baby bump because as he and his wife had a kid over the weekend, it's his birthday. So, for baseball bettors who like to play home run, play a guy to hit a home run on his birthday, you got the double bonus here with Marner if you still want to try to get him in for an anytime goal.
Boys, we got a developing situation in Boston. The Knicks have cut it to 1. 8:41 to play. They were down 20, and they have cut it to 1. I believe they just missed it there.
Yeah,
so it's a 84-83. Boston leads, 8:34 to go, but just a blink of an eye ago, it was a 20-point game.
28-9 run over 5 minutes and 34 seconds. And Brunson still not on the floor. Deuce McBride contributing 8 points. That is massive for the Knicks as Cat airballs a 3. And Boston takes over with a 1-point lead, 8.5 to go there.
All right, JD, of course, VSiN.com senior NHL analyst for us, does a great job. Let's talk about the Hurricanes and Caps. So the Hurricanes are going to be favored in the series. It's almost like the Capitals don't get respected. They do have to grind to win. Like they got Dylan Strome. I love watching Stromer and obviously Ovechkin, but they don't get the respect of like a Carolina. Do you believe the Capitals have a shot in this series?
I do. They've got the better goalie. No, whether it's Pyotr Kochetkov, who's likely to start this series, or Freddie Anderson, you've got two goalies that just ultimately have not proven themselves yet. So I don't trust their goaltending. Washington will play that grind and fast-paced game that Carolina likes to just try to wear you down. I don't think they can wear down Washington, and I think Washington's got more firepower. So for me, I think the value is there with the Washington Capitals in this series. Unless they're going to need a goalie, one of their goalies to steal at least one, if not 2 games, I think, to win this series, because they're not going to outscore teams. I think they actually in their first series, like what was good, what propelled them against the depleted Devils team was their power play. They scored 5 power play goals. They scored a shorthanded goal, but they only scored 1 more goal than New Jersey at even strength. And I don't think they can get away with that against the Washington Capitals in this series. I think the Capitals potentially could outscore Carolina 5-on-5.
Yeah, it was a weird series with the Devils. A lot of low-scoring games early, then things kind of erupted late. How about this other series coming up here with VGK and the Oilers? Edmonton also had a weird series. Let's be fair. They won 2 on the road, right? Or they lost 2 at home.
King should have won that series.
King
should have won that series.
Did not see that ending the way that it did. But now they take on VGK. I mean, level of excitement, because it feels like this should be an insane series between Edmonton and the Golden Knights.
Yeah, and Connor McDavid said, hey, when he was interviewed right after Game 6 on the broadcast, he said, we still remember that loss to Vegas a couple of years ago in the playoffs. So they've had, they're ready for this. I think that, look, I still think Vegas is the best team. Edmonton has, what they've done is that their depth is better than it was to start the year. And I think for Vegas, look, they're Bruce Cassidy, their coach, talked about it yesterday about, what they're going to do to defend McDavid and Draisaitl, who are likely to be paired again. And they're planning on putting their best 3 forwards, who are Mark Stone, Jack Eichel, and William Karlsson, up against McDavid and Draisaitl, hope to contain them. When they adjusted to that in the Minnesota series, they stopped the Wild's 2 best players, Kaprizov and Boldy. The better goaltenders on the Vegas side, the better blue lines on the Vegas side, and I think the Boston Celtics just did something good. And looking at Dustin here.
No, I'm rooting against my bet. The Knicks just tied it up at 86.
Oh, okay. But I think, yeah, so look, I like Vegas in this series. I just think there's more advantages on the Vegas side than there are in the Edmonton side. I like the depth overall. And like I said, defense and goaltending wins. Edmonton just doesn't have enough of it.
JD, you and I are both in the South Bay here, and there is a huge, especially because a lot of the Kings live down here, but there are a lot of big Kings fans down here. They're going to be kicking themselves for years. Like, they go up 2-0, they go to Edmonton, probably could have won both those games, and then just fell apart. Like, that was a wild series.
It was, and I was at, today, the coach and players met with the media. Still, players and coach still devastated over what happened. But for me, this was a matter, I think, of just coaching malpractice. And it was just the inexperience of their head coach, Jim Hiller, that cost them in this series. Because Patrick and Dustin, they could have swept this series. But their coaching staff didn't trust their players. Because they essentially went in Game 4, they played the last 13 minutes with 8 forwards and 4.5 defensemen. And you just can't. And then, by the time Game 5 hit, well, even overtime in Game 4, players were just shot. So, yeah. They talk about in sports where you've got players that will get you to the playoffs, and there are players that will carry you through. And the Kings just don't have enough players that will carry you through and get you to a championship. And that's what the coaching staff, basically showed, and it killed them. And yeah, look, they had a glorious opportunity. They could have swept that series. And I think it's a long road ahead. It ended up their GM Rob Blake and the team parted ways today. We'll see where it goes. But I don't, no matter what person comes in, guys, to take over as the GM role, I really think that they're probably about another 4 years away from doing anything. I mean, they haven't won, guys, a playoff series in 11 years since they won the Stanley Cup. Like, that's crazy. Wow. Crazy. Not one series. So I think there's a lot to unwind with that.
So can I just rewind real quick? I want to go back to the end of Jets Blues because I'm obsessed because I don't really follow hockey as much as I did when I was younger. I actually played a lot of hockey and watched. I loved the Islanders as a kid, and somewhere along the lines, I just stopped paying attention to the sport. But I've watched enough hockey to know that I don't remember the last time in the final 2 minutes of a game with a pulled goalie, a team scored not 1, but 2 goals, one of them coming in the final 3 seconds, then going on to win the game in overtime. Can you put it into perspective for people like me that aren't locked in on the sport? Have you ever seen an ending like that with the pulled goalie, 2 goals in under 2 minutes, and then going on to win the game, JD?
Actually, I have, Dustin, and it happened earlier this year, and it happened to the Dallas Stars, who gave up not 1, not 2, but 3 goals to the Vancouver Canucks.
That's right.
Yes. I saw I was watching that. That was crazy.
Didn't you bet on it?
I did bet on it. I couldn't that was insane.
Yeah. Yeah, the old whiskey and revolver game. If you had Dallas in any fashion, regulation, puck line, whatever. So, but look, this is the first time that anything like that has happened in Game 7 of the Stanley Cup playoffs. What took place in Winnipeg, it was insane. But like I just said, I just talked to you guys about how the Kings didn't trust enough of their players. The Winnipeg Jets were polar opposite. I mean, they had guys that hadn't played in a playoff game that had to go into Game 7 because of injury, and the coach had these guys out there in the final couple of minutes of the game. And so it just, hey, look, if you're going to put guys on the roster, you got to trust them. And otherwise, don't play, don't even have them suit up. But it was absolutely remarkable. And man, look, for a guy who bet St. Louis that game, I'll tell you, I did have Adam Lowry, who scored the overtime goal, just to score a goal in the game at plus 550. Nice. I had a buddy of mine who took Lowry at 21-1 to score the overtime goal. I wish I had.
Wow.
Yeah.
Whoa. That's incredible. You mentioned, it sounds like you think VGK is the best, JD, of the remaining teams. Let me ask you this. The Minnesota series, I think metric-wise, VGK dominated, but Minnesota was way better than I expected. Kind of do you see any holes in what VGK is doing moving forward, or was that just a tremendous series by Minnesota?
Well, I think, what a lot of people don't remember is that the Minnesota Wild started off the year, guys, 20-8. And then they lost, they had injuries to, their star player, Kirill Kaprizov, and many others along the way. So, they really struggled. But this is where coaching comes in, because Vegas did struggle for the first 4 games. And the Wild, I thought, were the better team for the bulk of those first 4 games. But then head coach Bruce Cassidy said, we are not going to let Minnesota, their best line beat us anymore, because Kirill Kaprizov and Matt Boldy had like 10 of the first 14 goals for Minnesota in that series. And then when Cassidy made the adjustment and put his 3 best, not only just forwards, but defensive forwards together to shut them down, they had, I think, 1 assist each in the last 2 games. So Vegas made the proper adjustments. I think that we'll see that against Edmonton, and we'll see where it goes.
What would be your perfect Cup final? What are we looking at? If you have your dream scenario, what works out for America, for Canada,
just for
everyone involved here, for hockey,
quality of hockey. Yeah, I like this question. Like, what would give us the best theater?
Well, look, I think look, Vegas and Toronto would probably be the best theater. With Winnipeg being a close second. Well, actually, no, it can't be Vegas and Winnipeg. So if you got to take a team from the East, you're left with Toronto, Washington, Carolina, and Florida. I mean, I think it would be Vegas, Winnipeg, Toronto, Vegas, Toronto. Either one of those matchups would just be fantastic. Winnipeg, Toronto would not be great for for the networks down here, but it would be great, just because the whiteout in Winnipeg, the craziness. Awesome. And now, if Toronto won the Stanley Cup, if and when they ever win a Stanley Cup, the rest of the world will never hear the end of it for the next century, because that's the way they are in Toronto.
I agree. JD, great stuff. VSiN NHL analyst, all the picks, goal scorers, side totals, props, they're all there over at VSiN.com. He writes for us over at VSiN.com as well. Does a great job. And you can also hear Jonathan Davis on SiriusXM NHL Radio at West Coast HKY. Please go ahead, JD.
Tonight after Leafs and Panthers on NHL Network Radio Channel 91, doing the post-game show starting at 11 o'clock Eastern time, and then it'll replay throughout the night.
That's a tremendous job, a tremendous plug by my man, a fellow South Bay gangster. Hey, here's one thing I will say. It's good that JD's our friend, because I'm not so sure.
So disrespectful.
I'm not so sure that Dustin realizes our guests can see him not paying attention to them while he's doing the interview.
I respect it. He's got a bet. Hey, money talks, you know?
I'm rooting against my bet. I'm being a fit. Brunson hit a 3. The Knicks are up 3, 94-91 with 3:48 to go. I hope my bet loses. If the Knicks steal game 1 on the road, guess what? I'm back in.
Yeah, your bets are $22. You can lose the $22 for your Knicks to freaking win. All right, just take
They're a little
it easy.
more than that. They're a little more, not much more. A little bit more.
Take it easy. All right, JD. Right after the Maple Leafs and Panthers game, you're going to be on NHL Radio tonight. We appreciate you, buddy. Thank you.
All right, take care. Have a good rest of your night.
Okay, you too. Listen, big guy, I'm with you. But at one point you did this like spastic freak out, and
I knocked my headphones off.
Poor JD was just like, am I even alive right now? I'm answering the question you asked, and now I realize you're not even paying attention to me. So if you noticed me, I was like focused. I never looked to my left at my TV.
Tried to compensate?
I was trying to compensate. Like my parents, my parents raised me well. I don't know what to say.
I'm sorry.
I got to focus.
I'm working on this new thing that you've been yelling at me about, and that's being present. And unfortunately, during the interview with Jonathan Davis, who I love tremendously, I was more present as a Knicks fan than the person hosting the show with you. That's hand up. I'll admit it.
Hey,
hand up.
It's okay. You came clean, and like JD said, we're a betting network, so we can forgive you. When we come back, I want to tell you the most interesting story in sports that you definitely don't know about. It's VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio with Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson. Now back to VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio with Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson.
White just hit a big three to go up one, a little over 2 minutes to play, and all I can think about is I get off at 7 o'clock and I got to go to Trader Joe's because I got no food at the crib. There is nothing worse than when you're I'm so hungry. There's nothing worse when you realize you can't just eat when you're done. You got to go buy the food, bring it back, and do your thing. I understand there's a basketball game, but I still exist, people.
Bro, I have a situation at the house because I have a 2-year-old at my house. My niece is visiting. And you know what happens when children are around? All the snacks you love are around. There is a box of Cheez-Its that has been staring at me for 48 hours that I have yet to touch. And I don't know if I can make it another few hours with it sitting there. So I'm in the opposite boat as you. I have too much food that I shouldn't eat because I've been dieting and doing a good job mostly lately. Things have been going well in that department. But if there's one weakness for me, it's freaking Cheez-Its. I love them.
Well, if you would have got your family a hotel room, the Cheez-Its would be at the hotel room.
It's a true statement. It's a true statement.
Let's get the updated in-game number. 2:15 to play. The Celtics up 98-97 over the Knicks. I'm guessing it's three Celtics, 3.5?
2.5 on the Celtics, but juiced -135. So basically a 3. Totals 206.5. And we are at the 2-minute mark right now. 1 point game.
You're ahead of me.
Trail.
I hate how we're never matched up.
Our cycles haven't synced. Oh, Brunson, a bad turnover. He's not.
You're gonna blame Brunson, who's carried your whole entire life.
No, I have to say
that was
a
bad
turnover.
He's bitter.
They weren't on the same page. It looked like a George Pickens route, where he just decides to run something other than the play.
Speaking of which, do the Steelers have a quarterback yet?
Yeah, his name is Will Howard.
Oh,
He's
that's
35-1 for Offensive Rookie of the Year. Oh, you got to get that board. Celtics missed, got the rebound. 90 seconds to go. They're still up 1.
Yeah, Tatum with a missed 3, offensive board by Holiday. If you're the Knicks, how are you letting a guard grab a board?
Knicks with the ball down 1, 1:20 to go. Brunson has it, but he has no one with him. He's got to slow it up. Slow it up. Number has the Knicks laying 1.5. Why? Sorry, I looked at the sports book. They're going to tie it up here. I don't know what the shot looks like, but no. Knicks are laying 1.5.
It's Saturday at my house. How far I'm behind?
Wait, this is what? Oh, it was a 2? They ruled that a 2 from Anunoby? No, it was a 3.
Hey, that's a 3.
Yeah, it's a 3. It's a
3.
Are
you kidding me? No,
I did the math wrong.
That's a 3. He was 10 feet behind the three-point line. Get the hell out of here.
I did the math wrong. They had 97.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say, there's no way that was not a 3. 198, the Knicks lead, 57 seconds to go. And down the stretch they come. Holiday with an easy bucket to go to tie it up at 100. So we got 100 right now. Knicks, Celtics, 48 seconds to go. A lot of pressure. Holiday on Brunson. Brunson does get it past midcourt. Brunson's going to try to create here. A little switch to Horford. Take him to the hole with the switch. And there's a dish outside Anunoby. Terrible shot.
No, wait.
Anunoby just took like an 18-foot two-pointer. Never do that. OG.
Here's the problem with that. And I know everyone's converging on him when he has the ball, especially late in games. But name a player on the floor, either team, you want more taking a big shot than Jalen Brunson. The Celtics don't have one. So in the crunch time, in the final 2 minutes with the game on the line, the only advantage the Knicks have in the entire series is they have the one guy you trust the most. And in that spot, he kicks it to Anunoby, who pump fakes, gets the guy in the air.
Yeah, I know. But you can't take a long two there, bro. You can't take
waits too long.
If you're not going to take the 3, you have to give up the ball.
Yeah. And there was like 3 seconds on the shot clock, so he was in a bind.
I didn't realize that.
Or
take it to the hole and get fouled.
No, he's got to get it off quicker. That's all it is. So we're tied
settling
at 100
for a long 2 with under a minute to play, tie ball game. Get the hell out of here.
Tied up at 100, 28 seconds left. So the Knicks, even if Boston hits a shot here, they will have a chance on the other end of the floor. But right now, it's Boston laying 1.5. No total on the board. -238 on the money line. If you think the Knicks pull it off, they're +180 on the money line or +1.5 on the game.
Okay, donkey. 100. Listen, this is a huge. A theme is going to build here. The Celtics' lack of killer instinct. You're up 20 at home, and it's a tie ball game with 28 seconds to go, it's a bad job.
Playing with their food. That's what they do. They play with their food, and it doesn't often come back to get them. And in the late third quarter, early fourth quarter, that's what they were doing with the Knicks with a big lead, up about 14-15. And now all of a sudden they could be in trouble. However, Derek White has the ball, and if there's a player I trust after Brunson, it's him. Gives it up to Tatum, but I would let Derek White take the final shot if I'm the Celtics.
Derek White made a decision, not with the basketball, but with the razor that needed to be made. He was holding on to his hair, and he just shaved it. I bet he feels so much better about himself. Tatum just missed a long three. What a donk.
Yep, that's why Derek White's the guy.
Rebound Knicks. Timeout. 5.5 seconds to play. Tied up at 100. A chance to win it. That will be a shocker.
Tom Thibodeau. I don't actually know if you're a good coach because these situations don't come up often enough where there's a timeout and you can draw up a play. Prove me wrong. Show me you can find a way to get Jalen Brunson open
He's gonna ISO Brunson. You know what he's going to do.
You have to. You have to let him take this shot.
But,
I don't want Anunoby. I don't want Mikal Bridges. In fact, I would trust Deuce McBride over those two guys in this spot.
Here's what you're talking about, though, as far as the coaching from Tibbs. We know you're going to ISO Brunson. Set up something to get him open.
Yes.
Screens, up, down, whatever it is, you have to give him an option and the ability. They have good perimeter defenders. You have to set up something creative coming out of this timeout to give Brunson a look. Donkey.
Because if this game goes to overtime, you are not winning it. See, like, you could get right now. So the Knicks are minus 154 on the money line, plus 120 on the Celtics. If you want to bet against Tom Thibodeau having something up his sleeve to get Brunson a good look, you bet the Celtics plus 120 because odds are he's not going to. And if this goes to overtime, Boston just runs away with it.
Let me try this other iPad so I can see if I'm ahead up on this one because I'm so you're going to know what happens.
Well, I'm at the SiriusXM studios at Wynn Las Vegas. I imagine they have the optimum internet or cable service versus you and I have at our homes.
Also, the Wynn has the best scenery in Vegas. You feel me?
Very cavernous.
I was talking about the ladies.
Oh, I was too. I was talking about them too. A lot of breaks.
All right. So the Knicks, I don't know what they just ran. Oh, the Celtics had a foul to give.
Yeah. So 5 seconds to go, they'll inbound again.
And you know what? Maybe that was a weird inbound. Maybe Thibodeau knew they were going to give a foul, so they didn't show anything there.
Or maybe they did because Mazzulla is kind of low-key a genius. I mean, he's a weird genius. He scares you genius, but maybe he did that intentionally. I don't know. Let's see what they draw up here.
He's smarter than me. Here
they got to look to Brunson. Oh, in and
Brunson's
out.
Brunson's
Celtics
inbounding
got
the ball. Board. You're so far ahead of me. This is a disaster. Oh, that was a great play to Brunson, actually.
It was a great play, and he just didn't hit it.
A little give and go. Brunson to the bucket. Missed a bunny.
That shot could be the series.
We're going to overtime. Brunson with a wry smile that says, I effed up.
Is it fair to say, look, it's a tough shot. He almost hit it with the runner, but that shot could decide this whole series. Because if they steal game one, things get interesting. But you go down 0-1, the effort it took to come back, going to overtime, playing extra against a better, deeper team. You're on the road. Stealing game one just changes the whole, speaking of scenery, landscape of the series.
I like got to give Tibbs credit. It was a nice play with a give and go from Towns. But what happened was Brunson was going in for the layup, and Horford, the big, was there, so he had to delicately put it over him. He went off glass, and it almost went in.
And let's say Brunson wasn't there. One thing I liked, did you see who was guarding Cat, who made the pass once it was in play? Derek White. So if Cat wanted to step back and shoot a three, I wouldn't hate it just because he has such a big size advantage. So I'll credit Tibbs. Didn't think you had it in. You got a good look. They just didn't finish the play.
I think if I was a brother, I'd have dreads.
Oh, you definitely would.
Do you think Brunson looks cool with dreads?
Yeah, I think dreads look really cool. I'm jealous of the football players that have dreads hanging out their helmet. I think that's the coolest look.
But Derek White made a decision. He had a trifling hair situation. He just shaved it off. I bet you he wakes up every morning feeling liberated.
Oh, yeah. So he definitely did what I did, where you catch yourself at the wrong angle or the right angle, depending on what move comes next. And he realized, I got to just get rid of this thing because it's not. There's not enough hair to call it hair.
Yeah, it was a tough look. Point 6 they added So Dustin tells me they missed. Yeah, it was a turnaround jumper. Tatum. We're going to overtime in game 1 up in Boston. 100 to 100. If you're an under better, I'm sorry. Because that was a dead nut under.
Yep.
And it's going to go over in overtime, most likely.
Real quick, we're about to get started with OKC in Denver. I do have a couple plays that are up at VSiN.com/picks. I love this game for Lou Dort. I went over 14.5 points, rebounds, and assists combined. He went over that number in his last 3 versus the Nuggets. I also went over 1.5 steals at like plus 145. He's had 2+ steals in 3 of 4 games against the Nuggets. And then the other one is Michael Porter Jr. over 18.5 points, rebounds, and assists. He surprisingly has really good numbers against OKC lifetime, shooting 45% from the field against them, 20 points per game. I think he can go over that on just points alone, but we're going to go over points, rebounds, and assists, Michael Porter Jr. Those would be the 3 plays I like in this game.
I was going to talk to you about those props today. You got to give plays on sides and totals on this show as well. That's the only thing I care about.
Then I would go.
By the way, I'm laying 10.5. It doesn't matter. This is going to be a boat race. Oklahoma City's going to roll.
Will it annoy you if I go first half? Oklahoma City -6 first half.
Go ahead. It's just like when we say, what the props do. People they tune out.
I like when they win. I like when they win and the sides and totals don't.
No, I get it, but we're just donks. Hey, did I tell you? So I teased you that I got the most interesting story in sports. I believe I do. Have you ever heard of Eric Tulsky?
No.
He was a blogger.
Uh-huh.
You know what he does now?
No.
He's the general manager of the Carolina Hurricanes.
Wait, really?
He started a blog called Broad Street Hockey because he was a big Philadelphia Flyers fan. And now he runs the Carolina Hurricanes.
There's no way.
But there's more. It even gets more interesting. Eric Tulsky is from Port Huron, Michigan. Moved when he was young to Philadelphia, became a huge Flyers fan. You know what he did then? He went to Harvard. He got his Bachelor of Arts in Chemistry and Physics at Harvard. Then you know what Eric Tulsky did, the general manager of the Hurricanes? He went and got a PhD in chemistry at the University of Cal Berkeley. He worked in a postdoctoral study at Naval Research Laboratory. He then worked in nanotechnology for 10 years. He holds 27 U.S. patents. Hold on. Along the way, Eric Tulsky started a blog about hockey, then was hired to be the Carolina Hurricanes general manager. How is that not the most fascinating story in the history of the planet?
It's insane, but it also feels like you're telling me that unless Carolina wins the cup this year and he gets a bonus, he is never going to pay back all those college loans he took out to go to all those schools. That's a lot of tuition being paid for by Tulsky Incorporated.
Dude, he's got his bachelor from Harvard, his PhD from Cal Berkeley. He holds 27 U.S. patents. He worked in nanotechnology, and now he runs the Carolina Hurricanes because he started a blog.
Because he's so smart that even his blog that he probably just did as a side hustle to not even make any money, it ended up being his full-time career. Imagine being that smart, accidentally falling yourself into a power position like that. I can't imagine it because it'll never happen.
Imagine even just having the initiative to start a blog.
Well, I mean, I had one too. It was called MySpace. It was LiveJournal. It was all my inner thoughts, mostly when I was drunk in college. But sure, his blog did a little bit better than mine.
I don't even have an idea to start a blog, let alone flip it into a general manager position.
No, that's the thing. How many blogs are out there? Do you know how smart whatever you're saying has to be for a team to go, hey, this idiot criticizing us actually has better ideas than the people working for us? In order for that to happen.
Do you think I have the foresight to start a blog when I didn't have the foresight to buy food in Zins before this show started? Because now I realize I not only need to get food, I need to pick up Zins. That's an extra stop at the 7-Eleven.
Foresight to start a blog. I don't think you know how to open up the website to start a blog.
I wouldn't. I honestly wouldn't. What do you use? Foursquare?
I don't think that's what that's for. Four squares for companies to get paid. As OG Anunoby takes a dunk to the rack. I think he got fouled on it. Scores, so the Knicks could go up 3 here with 3:25 to go.
Knicks up. Yeah, that's and 1. 325. You know what? We might stay under the total of 212.5 because they're
that's kind of crazy.
Starting off slow here in the overtime. Boston hosting the Knicks, game 1, and the Knicks were down 20, and now the Knicks are potentially going to be leading by 3 in overtime in Boston. Boston. Hey. This is the easiest job in the world as being a Boston sports talk radio show host tomorrow. First, you guys you start off with Belichick.
Did you see there was an update?
Yeah, what'd that idiot do?
Speaking of tariffs, we sent them to the United Kingdom. They were in England today.
Who?
Jordan Hudson and Belichick for his book tour.
Yeah, remember when you were watching the Super Bowl and you saw Belichick in Dunkin' Donuts commercial? Then all of a sudden Shorty popped up, and you were like, why is Bill Belichick's girlfriend he started dating 10 minutes ago in a Dunkin' Donuts commercial with him? Because she forced her way into it.
Well, yeah, so we can add to her list of jobs that look, she in a tough economy right now. That's not a political statement. Tough economy. She's got a lot of jobs. She was a cheerleader, so still handling that. She does his PR, potentially the GM of the next NFL team he wants to be a part of. And now we find out she's also a casting director for Dunkin' Donuts commercials. She's the most versatile person on the planet outside of Tony Danza.
Yeah.
Name some.
But she literally was just like, oh, I'm going to be in this commercial. And they're like, no, you're not. She's like, yeah, I am. And she was.
It's insane. It's insane the power that she has created for herself, but I actually just give her credit. She's played this perfectly.
Look, I've said it all along. I got no problem with Jordan Hudson. I got a problem with Billy B giving men a bad name.
Mikal Bridges, first big shot of his career.
Don't pretend like you like Mikal Bridges. Mikal Bridges just hit a corner 3 to go up 6, 2:30 to play. The Knicks are going to win.
They better hold on here. By the way, we criticized OG Anunoby for that miss right before the regulation ended. He's got 28, 4, and 2 tonight, so he's had a pretty good game.
There's going to be a lot of people that said, I told you so about the Knicks after this win. Nobody told us anything.
No, I mean, there were moments where we tried to tell you so, and then we realized we were wrong. So this is a bit of a surprise. There was a moment where we thought the Knicks might do something, and then they looked awful. But they got to close it out.
The Boston Celtics are an $8 favorite. $8 to win $1 for the series. So starting off 0-1 at home would not be good if you bet the series price.
That's interesting. What is if the Knicks hold on here, what does that series price become?
I bet it doesn't drop that much. That's a good question. Towns with the putback, it's 108,
Should I text
102.
TG?
No. Let's just have fun with it ourselves. It'll drop to $3 favorites.
Yeah,
maybe 3.5.
I was gonna say 4, so we're around this 3.5, 4 makes sense.
I'd say minus 350 after tonight.
As Jaylen Brown with a big shot now. Okay, this is coming down to the wire.
Brown just hit a 3, so it's a 3-point game. 108, 105, $1.16 to play. Knicks lead at Boston.
Man,
so
1 minute to go.
Yeah, 1 minute to play. You're 7 seconds ahead of me. I can tell you that because I had a minute 7 to play. So Brunson with the ball up 3, a minute to play, and it sounds like you already know what happened. Brunson just absolutely being great defense by Drew Holiday, who is a tremendous defender.
Oh, and they just got to stop on the other end. Towns got a piece of the ball when Brown went for a shot. Knicks the other way in transition. They're going to slow it up. 33 seconds to go. 15 on the shot clock. They're up by 3, so they just need to
chill out and grind the shot clock.
Yeah. I mean, even if you miss, just use clock. Clock is bigger than the shot.
Of course.
Josh Hart, prayer 3. It's no good. Celtics have the ball, 16 seconds to go. They do have 2 timeouts, and they're down 3 with 12 seconds now. They haven't used
that was an idiotic shot by Hart. No rhythm, bumbling and fumbling.
There was like 3.5, 4 seconds.
Yeah, you're right.
And Jaylen Brown just threw. Oh no, Cat is stupid.
Watch. Did he follow Brown?
Jaylen Brown went up.
Was that before the shot, or are they going to shoot 3?
I don't know what they're saying.
I think it's before the shot.
I hope so. Let's
think it's
see.
before the shot.
Jaylen Brown, Cat contests. Yeah, it's way before the shot.
Yeah,
it's
no,
way,
that's not.
the
That's not
contact's way
going to be.
before the
That's
shot.
not a shooting foul.
Okay,
That's not
then
a
he-
shooting foul.
I take it back. He's not an idiot. I take it
I
back.
had no problem. Yeah, I agree. I have no problem with the foul, and you know, I don't
Smart
like
play
that.
then.
Yeah,
Smart
I
play.
agree.
I thought he was shooting.
But you're a dog.
I don't have great eyesight. I haven't got my updated
You have glasses
prescription of these
on.
Glasses. Yeah, I buy. These are like 5-year-old prescription. I got to update them. It's a whole thing. I've been getting yelled
Then
at.
why do you wear them?
Because they're still better than being blind.
Are they even arguing whether or not this is a shooting foul? That wasn't even close
you know what?
to a
Let's-
shooting foul.
Let's see what Twitter's saying. Still call it Twitter. Don't call it X. Don't at me. Well, it's at Dustin Swedelson if you do.
Which means he does want you to add him.
Yeah, I still like the attention. People questioning what Cat could be thinking there. Cat. No, clearly fouled on the floor. Good call. Yeah, the foul is on the floor, I believe. That's the call. But they must be
There's
reviewing.
no way
it.
that's a shooting foul. But if
Well,
it's 3 seconds
Boston
to
has
go, Knicks up 3, Celtics ball.
And Boston has 2 timeouts. You might as well use the review because you're not going to get another chance.
That's not a shooting foul. He was literally planted on the ground.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to see what they come up with, what they draw up, because it's their last shot. Obviously, they're not going to be able to follow and come back 3 seconds. So you're up 3, and Missoula takes a timeout. My assumption is it's going to be a White or Tatum draw, or maybe they put Horford in the corner for a 3.
Yeah, and just see if, like, Russell Westbrook hit that one shot against the Clippers for the win. Just see if the Knicks dare them to let Horford take the final shot. The best they can do is tie it with 3 seconds to go with White inbounding. I'll let you do the play-by-play, though. I'll hold off here.
But you're ahead of me. So.
I'm not going to show emotion, though.
Yeah, but don't do the thing where, okay, so here we go. White is going to inbound the ball, 3 seconds to go. 3-point lead for the Knicks. Celtics ball, and they are trying to find Tatum. They call a timeout. Great defense by the Knicks. Forced the Celtics to call a timeout.
By the way, other
Go
game
back
underway.
to the drawing board.
Other game underway. Nuggets out to an 11-8 lead. It's a long game, and they're going to be tired,
It
but
doesn't
that's
matter.
interesting. That's interesting.
It is interesting. It's so interesting. Whoa, let me check in on the hockey. The Leafs were leading 2-1 at the first break, first intermission. And right now, Maple Leafs extend second intermission. Maple Leafs 4, Panthers 1. This is a stupid show tonight. Every night.
Yeah. That's fine.
I don't want to go to break because I want to call this. I want to do
Well,
this coming out of the timeout.
Okay, we still have a couple minutes. That's our our max that we can go, right? A couple minutes till we have to
like
hit that break.
52.
Trying to do the math. Doing the math in my head, yeah. I think you're right. 52, 53. So 3 seconds to go.
Don't be. Now you're clocking me. I've been doing this I know what the clock is.
I'm just filling the air with words in a moment after you stop speaking. That's all that was. Do not take it personal.
You see how it is, big guy.
Do not take it personal. By the way,
I'm
OG
not taking it personal.
Anunoby has 29 points. He could lead the game. I don't know what he was to lead the game in points.
45 missed 3-point field goals tonight for the Celtics. That's the most in playoff history. They've missed 45 threes. Here we go. White into Brown. Brown gets the ball ripped from him and the Knicks win. I don't know what to tell you. They didn't. Mikal Bridges ripped the ball from Jaylen Brown. The Celtics didn't even get a shot up.
Okay, here's the topic. I wish we were on a little bit longer. I know you don't. Did Mikal Bridges hold on? Did Mikal Bridges just prove he was worth 5 first-round picks? 888 Mad Dog 6.
VSiN Live, Mad Dog Sports Radio.
This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio with Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson. Welcome back to VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio. Here's Patrick Meagher and Dustin Swedelson.
Naya is like the most normal person we work with, but did you notice when she said coming back, she was like laughing? She's laughing at how stupid we are. Our conversations are, listen, no offense to you, because I'm going to say the same thing about me. We're not the smartest two around. Our conversations are stupid during the break.
I mean, we're two people that think they have all the answers and are still mesmerized by what goes on in a grocery store. That's what just happened during that break.
Yeah, Dustin was just breaking down the credibility of Walmart to me. So.
Look, it's not a quality thing. It's more just the fact that every time I go, I realize it's cheaper. However, people like you can't get around the fact that you can go get an oil change, 4 new tires on your car, get cleaning supplies, get a new golf bag, and get your groceries. I know that bothered you for some reason.
Did they update the series price? The Knicks just beat the Celtics 108-105. My guess is it's
not up yet.
It's not adjusted yet.
I don't see it on DraftKings, and they're always the first with this stuff. So I don't see
Yeah, they're going to
yet.
wait. They'll wait a little bit. The Knicks were down 20 in this game in the second half, and they came back and won in overtime 108-105. What a freaking thriller.
That's an all-time win. That is a gut check win for the Knicks in a spot where, look, Boston was rested. I know they were pushed a couple times by Orlando, but the way the Knicks had to use every ounce of talent and energy they had against a feisty Pistons team, no one would have faulted them for losing game 1 on the road in Boston, when, by the way, Boston swept the regular season series and completely dominated them. So for the Knicks to get their first win over Boston this year, first over one of the top seeds in either conference, that's as good as it gets for Brunson and company.
It's one of the bigger wins in the last 20 years for the Knicks.
Yeah.
The big guy hanging out at the Win SiriusXM Studios. Beautiful job, Jeremiah and the crew. Thank you for that. Just want to mention, because we've been talking about VSiN and Samich hitting that super. You can get all the bets right now for $19, 24/7 sports betting coverage, daily email, exclusive betting splits, NFL, all the guides. It's all there. Go to vsin.com/subscribe. Use the promo code SIRIUS. Let's close tabs before we get out of here. And I will say, my assumption is she's laughing more at you and with me, Naya.
Yeah.
Because that's just my assumption.
No, that's a fair assumption, but it also means I'm being funny in the moment, even if I don't know what I'm saying is funny. Okay.
See, because your thing about being funny is you don't care if people are laughing at you. You just want them laughing in some way about you or what you said.
Yeah, it's because I have dark holes in my childhood that I'm trying to cover up with laughter.
Well, keep your family in a 1-bedroom apartment, and you'll have more.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Closing tabs. Bill Mott was on the show. You mentioned he won the Kentucky Derby previously with Country House. Country House was 65-1 that year.
65-1. Maximum Security was a very good horse, but got pulled down that year.
Drew Dinsick, great interview on the show. He had an interesting quote, though, talking about being at the Kentucky Derby. He said, quote, "You're around 150,000 people who are there for a thing that lasts just 2 minutes.
I knew it.
The only thing you could compare is to what went on with Bonnie Blue on spring break. Look it up in the private tabs account."
Here's how stupid we are. When he said that, I knew you were thinking about it.
About Bonnie Blue?
You were thinking about a joke. About a 2-minute joke. I knew it. It's so dumb, but go ahead.
But there was 150,000 people involved. She slept with 1,000 men in 24 hours.
She gets busy with a lot of people. That's her shtick. I've heard.
I think it's her profession. It's her profession, not her shtick.
Drew Dinsick, thank you. JD, thank you. And Bill Mott, thank you. You can go check that out on the SiriusXM app and at VSiN Live on YouTube. Thank you, Naya. Thank you, Ryan. We'll see you tomorrow. VSiN Live. It's Mad Dog Sports Radio.
Covering the spread all night long. This is VSiN Live on Mad Dog Sports Radio.